Chapter 45. Silence. Incomparable silence. Witnessing Yi Chunfeng's stunning punch, everyone present was stunned. Everyone's eyes slowly turned from disdain and ridicule to surprise and surprise. In the end, everyone present was stunned. Impossible, this can't be real. How can he have such abnormal power? Is this guy not human? Witnessing the power of Yi Chunfeng's punch, Shin Tu-yi broke out in a cold sweat. He regretted provoking Yi Chunfeng even more. Good, very good. Yi Chunfeng, your performance is very good. As Yi Chunfeng completed the fusion of the formation pattern power in an instant, Elder Lu did not notice the changes in the formation pattern. Looking at his stunning performance, Elder Lu's love for talent was aroused. Yi Chunfeng, you are indeed a good opponent. However, the Juku spirit pill must be mine. I will not let go of anyone who wants to touch it. Shangguan Peng's eyes flickered with an ominous glint as he muttered in his heart. His performance just now was very outstanding, but Yi Chunfeng's performance was even more outstanding and stunning than his. The limelight completely overshadowed him, which made him feel threatened. Next, Tanhua. About half an hour later, the afternoon assessment was over. After the second round of puppet assessment, only 10 of the 28 disciples were left. 18 of them were eliminated. Among them, Zhang Xian and a few others were seriously injured. They would not be able to recover without 10 days to half a month. Alright, today's assessment is over. The final assessment will be held at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Remember, don't be late. Otherwise, you will lose the qualification to take the assessment, Elder Lu instructed solemnly. Yes, Elder Lu. Yi Chunfeng and the other 10 people said in unison and left the Immortal Ascension Hall one after another. Shangguan Peng, I think you should not be willing to be suppressed by Yi Chunfeng and lose the Juku spirit pill, right? Looking at Yi Chunfeng's departing back, Shin Tu-yi walked to Shangguan Peng's side with a gloomy face and deliberately provoked him. What do you want to say? Shangguan Peng, whose eyes flickered, asked in a low voice. I want to use tomorrow's rules to get rid of that brat. There were many geniuses from the Shin Tu family clan in the Sky Fire Martial House, so Shin Tu-yi was familiar with the rules of tomorrow's assessment. In order to avoid being trampled by Yi Chunfeng, he was prepared to make his move early. What's the matter? Are you familiar with one of the Sky Fire Martial House disciples who will intercept us tomorrow? Shangguan Peng's eyebrows twitched as he asked in surprise. Shangguan Peng, I won't hide it from you. This time, the team leader in charge of intercepting us in the Purple Cloud mountain range is called Shin Tu Shui. He's my cousin, a level 3 beast illusion master expert. As long as he's willing to cooperate with us, with our strength, we'll definitely be able to keep that brat's life in the Purple Cloud mountain range. Shin Tu-yi explained the plan in detail. Shin Tu-yi, although your plan is very thorough, that Yi Chunfeng is a little strange. Once we fail to kill him, the consequences will be very serious. Although Shangguan Peng also wanted to get rid of Yi Chunfeng, he had to consider the consequences. With the 3 of us working together, the chances of failure are very small. Furthermore, even if that brat is lucky and escapes our pursuit, there's nothing to be afraid of. My cousin intercepting him is his duty. As for the 2 of us, who will testify for him? Shin Tu-yi said sinisterly. Alright, then I'll wait for your news. If you can convince your cousin, then we'll carry out the plan tomorrow. Shangguan Peng clenched his teeth and agreed. Yi Chunfeng, don't blame me if you die. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for provoking me. I hope that in your next life, you can keep your eyes open. There are some people you can't afford to offend. Seeing that Shangguan Peng agreed, Shin Tu-yi revealed a sinister smile, as if he had already foreseen Yi Chunfeng's tragic fate. At dusk, the setting sun hung in the west. The afterglow shone on the purple-gold imperial city, making this ancient city filled with a peaceful and auspicious aura. Master Chen, you've finally come. The family head has prepared a banquet and has been waiting for your arrival. When Yi Chunfeng, who was wearing a human skin mask and dressed in disguise, arrived at the Ji family's old residence under the setting sun, the old housekeeper, who had been waiting outside for a long time, immediately came out to welcome him and politely invited him into the old residence. After continuously taking Yi Chunfeng's medicine, Ji Yanjing's old injuries had basically stabilized. At this moment, he was sternly lecturing Ji Qingxue, who had just returned. Qingxue, since you've already made a private vow with Yi Chunfeng, why did you cancel the engagement for no reason? Do you know that with Yi Chunfeng's performance today, how many families have become restless and are ready to throw him an olive branch? Even the two princes have developed a strong interest in him and want to rope him in. Ji Yanjing said resentfully. So what if he's turned over a new leaf? Back then, I made a private vow with him only to get rid of that annoying fly, Jiang Shanshui. Now that fly is dead. Naturally, I can't continue acting with Yi Chunfeng. Ji Qingxue said, unconvinced. Qingxue, today is different from the past. Grandfather now approves of you and Yi Chunfeng being together. Why don't you talk to him tomorrow and see if you can continue your relationship? Thinking of the Ji family situation, Ji Yanjing helplessly persuaded. Grandfather, don't say any more. Even if I die, I won't marry that annoying guy. Ji Qingxue said firmly. Family head, Master Chen is here. Just as the two were arguing, the old housekeeper brought Yi Chunfeng, who had an ugly expression, into the dining hall. And their argument was coincidentally heard by Yi Chunfeng. Master Chen, you're finally here. When Ji Qingxue saw the mysterious Master Chen, the unhappiness on her face disappeared, and she immediately stood up to welcome him. However, Yi Chunfeng treated Ji Qingxue as heir and didn't even look at her. Master Chen, this is the banquet we've prepared for you. Does it suit your taste? Ji Yanjing said with a smile. I'm here to treat my illness, not to eat. Moreover, my time is limited. If family head Ji has nothing else, let's start the treatment immediately. Yi Chunfeng had a feeling that it wouldn't be easy to cross the Purple Cloud mountain range tomorrow. Therefore, he urgently wanted to obtain the 1,000-year blood ginseng king promised by the Ji family to replenish his blood qi and increase his strength. I'm sorry, Master Chen. I didn't think it through. Let's go to my residence to treat your injuries. Looking at Yi Chunfeng's serious face, Ji Yanjing helplessly smiled. Once upon a time, no one dared to speak to him in such a tone. However, Yi Chunfeng was his only hope. He didn't dare to offend him. You guys don't need to follow me in. I want to treat family head Ji alone. Yi Chunfeng looked at Ji Qingxue and her father behind him, and said coldly. Then we'll wait outside. Ji Yunyu bitterly smiled. Ji Qingxue felt even more depressed. She didn't know why, but she felt that Master Chen was hostile towards her. Moreover, he ignored her beauty. Family head Ji, before I treat you, I have something to ask you. Yi Chunfeng pondered for a moment and said. Master Chen, please ask. Does family head Ji want to treat the symptoms or the root of the problem? Yi Chunfeng slowly said. Chapter 46. Master Chen, do you really have a way to treat the root of the problem? Ji Yanjing asked excitedly. If he could recover from his injuries, the Jiang family would have some misgivings and would not dare to make a move against them. Although your old injuries have worsened, I have a way to help you rebirth. When the time comes, your physical body will change and your old injuries will naturally heal. Rebirth. Ji Yanjing's heart was in turmoil. Excitement surfaced on his aged face as he asked, Master Chen really has a way to help me rebirth? Yes, but before that, you need to give me the 1,000-year blood ginseng king. Yi Chunfeng nodded and stated his conditions. No problem, I will ask Yunyu to bring it over. After seeing Yi Chunfeng's superb medical skills, Ji Yanjing was convinced. He immediately called Ji Yunyu, who was guarding the door, in and ordered him to bring the 1,000-year blood ginseng king to Yi Chunfeng. What a powerful blood qi! As expected of the 1,000-year blood ginseng king. Yi Chunfeng received a jade box made of white jade from Ji Yunyo's hands. When he opened the jade box, a blood ginseng king the size of a palm, completely blood-red in color, with lush roots and a humanoid form, entered his eyes. Looking at the well-preserved thousand-year blood ginseng king, Yi Chunfeng revealed a satisfied expression. Patriarch Ji, I am very satisfied with this thousand-year blood ginseng king. As an exchange, I will give you this jade letter. Yi Chunfeng took out a dark green jade letter from his bosom and handed it to Ji Yanjing. This jade letter was forcefully made by him with the help of the God-Eater brain. It recorded the first 2 layers of the 6 meridians divine shield. This is? Ji Yanjing was curious and released his soul power to permeate it. When he skimmed through the contents of the jade letter, a kind of shock and excitement began to emerge on his aged face. In the end, a look of horror filled his face. Could this be an upper rank or top rank spiritual soul technique? Ji Yanjing was a discerning person. He noticed that the soul incantation recorded in the jade letter was far superior to his mid-grade soul incantation, frost water incantation. At this moment, he completely believed that as long as he cultivated according to the contents of the jade letter, it would be easy for him to be reborn. Breaking through to the earth-beast general realm would no longer be a dream. Family Head Ji, the cultivation method recorded in this jade slip was imparted to me by my master. I hope that you will not spread it out. Otherwise, if my master blames you, there might be trouble. Yi Chunfeng looked at the agitated Ji Yanjing and warned him sternly. Master Chen, I will never forget your kindness to me. I swear that without your permission, I will never pass on this precious body-tempering soul technique to anyone else. Ji Yanjing nodded and made a solemn vow. Oh right, Master Chen, is your master a member of the sect? Based on this precious jade letter, Ji Yanjing guessed that Yi Chunfeng might have a master from a sect, so he wanted to befriend him. If he could befriend Yi Chunfeng's master, then the Ji family's status would skyrocket. In the future, they might even have the chance to replace the Jiang family and become the #1 family in the kingdom of Zijin. Regarding my master, please forgive me for keeping it a secret. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said vaguely. Alright, family head Ji, it's getting late. Let's start healing. In a while, I will use the silver needles to forcefully open up the main meridians in your body. The process might be a little painful, but the benefits are obvious. Yi Chunfeng did not waste any more time. He let Ji Yanjing lie down and started using the heavenly profound needles to heal him and forcefully open up his meridians. Fortunately, when Ji Yanjing was young, he had laid down a good foundation for cultivation. This saved Yi Chunfeng a lot of effort and time. Family head Ji, can you still endure it? Yi Chunfeng asked as he looked at Ji Yanjing, who was convulsing in pain with veins popping out of his forehead. No problem, I can still endure it. Ji Yanjing squeezed out a few words from the gap of his teeth. He clenched his fists and relied on his strong endurance to endure the inhumane torture. About 2 hours later, when Yi Chunfeng was about to exhaust his soul power, he finally opened up the main meridians in Ji Yanjing's body with difficulty. Phew, I finally succeeded. Yi Chunfeng let out a long sigh of relief. He removed the silver needles from Ji Yanjing's acupuncture points and said weakly, This is all I can do. You can only rely on yourself for the rest. Master Chen, thank you. I feel much better now. Feeling that his meridians were much smoother, Ji Yanjing showed a grateful expression and said, If you need any help in the future, Master Chen can come to my Ji family. No matter who is in charge of the Ji family in the future, we will do our best to help you. We are just taking what we need. Family head Ji, you don't have to worry too much. Yi Chunfeng said indifferently. He took out a low-grade soul crystal and held it in his hand to recover his soul power. Yunyu, quickly bring the items that my Ji family put up for a reward. See if there is anything that Master Chen needs. While Yi Chunfeng was recovering, Ji Yanjing called Ji Yunyu in and ordered him to bring all the items that were put up for a reward. "Grandfather, how are your injuries?" Ji Qing Shui glanced at Yi Chunfeng, who was recuperating, and asked with concern. "Master Chen's miraculous hands have brought me back to life. My injuries are no longer a problem. I estimate that it won't be long before I fully recover." Ji Yen lovingly stroked Ji Qingshue's head and revealed a gentle smile. Roughly 5 minutes later, Yi Chunfeng recovered a small portion of his soul power. He picked out 2 soul recovery pills that could increase the recovery speed of his soul power, a hidden weapon that was quite powerful, the Thorn Sphere, and a slightly yellowed scroll without any words. Even the Ji family couldn't tell the origin of this scroll. The reason why Yi Chunfeng picked this seemingly worthless scroll was because when his finger touched the scroll, the God-Eater brain was slightly agitated. "Patriarch Ji, I still have matters to attend to, so I won't be staying any longer." After picking out the treasures, Yi Chunfeng couldn't wait to rush back and refine the 1,000-year blood ginseng king to replenish the blood in his body and increase his strength. "Master Chen, can you tell me if it was you who saved me and Xia in the Baiyun mountain range?" Seeing that Yi Chunfeng was about to leave, Ji Qing Shui immediately called out to him. She looked at him with longing eyes and asked in anticipation, "So what if it was, so what if it wasn't? Let's not talk about the past." Yi Chunfeng said ambiguously, "What's wrong, Qingxue? Did Master Chen save you in Deity City?" Ji Yanjing raised his eyebrows and revealed a trace of surprise. "Yes, if I'm not mistaken, Master Chen is the benefactor of me and Xia." Although Yi Chunfeng's answer was vague, Ji Qing Shui was basically sure that Yi Chunfeng was the one who saved her. "I didn't expect my Ji clan to owe Master Chen a favor. Master Chen, what do you think of Qingxue? If you're interested, I'll betroth her to you to repay your kindness to my Ji clan," Ji Yanjing said half-jokingly. As soon as Ji Yanjing finished speaking, 2 intoxicating blushes appeared on Ji Qing Shui's devastatingly beautiful face. It was as if there was a little deer hidden in her heart, thumping wildly. "Your granddaughter is not bad, but as far as I know, she's privately engaged to someone called Yi Chunfeng in Deity City." Yi Chunfeng sneered in his heart and said deliberately, No, the engagement between Yi Chunfeng and I is only due to a transaction. There's no substantial relationship between us." Hearing Yi Chunfeng's answer, Ji Qing Shui's face turned pale, and she quickly explained. Chapter 47. The night mist came, and the quiet night was a little cold. Under the hazy moonlight, there were not many stars. Yi Chunfeng circled around the imperial city to make sure that no one was following him. He quickly returned to the small courtyard he rented, took a bath, changed his clothes, and adjusted his state of mind. When Yi Chunfeng adjusted his state of mind to the best state, he did not immediately swallow the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king. Instead, he took out the scroll that had caused the God-Eater brain to become restless. "I wonder what's so special about this scroll?" Yi Chunfeng was curious. He pressed his hand on the scroll and silently sensed the truth of the scroll. Array pattern. There are actually sealing array patterns in this scroll. With the powerful sensing ability of the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng discovered that there were many mysterious array patterns hidden in the scroll that concealed the true information of the scroll. Break. Combining the power of the God-Eater brain and the array pattern inheritance, Yi Chunfeng spent nearly half an hour to break more than 10 sealing array patterns in the scroll. The next moment, a large number of patterns appeared on the slightly yellowed sheepskin scroll. They gathered into hundreds of ancient characters that were different from this era. Although Yi Chunfeng did not recognize these ancient characters, the God-Eater brain was able to distinguish the meaning of these characters. Profound Frost Spirit Water. I didn't expect this scroll to be related to the Profound Frost Spirit Water, Yi Chunfeng said in surprise. According to the inherited memories of the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng knew that the Duhan continent, which had a long history, had a mysterious and destructive spiritual item. Some of these spiritual items were left behind by ancient experts, some were born from the changes of heaven and earth, and some were evolved through time and space. If he could take these spiritual items for his own use, they would be a great help to him and greatly increase his strength. However, these spiritual items were extremely rare and difficult to subdue. Many top experts of the Duhan continent had chased after them for their entire lives, but in the end they had failed to do so. And the profound frost spirit water recorded in the sheepskin scroll was one of the spiritual treasures of heaven and earth. It could only be produced in an extremely cold place, and the energy it contained could easily freeze an earth beast general expert to death. I never thought that the snow mountain not far from the Zijin kingdom would actually contain the profound frost spirit water that would make countless experts jealous. However, with my current strength, even if I find the profound frost spirit water, I won't be able to subdue it. But the ice heart spring nurtured by the profound frost spiritual water has a miraculous effect on tempering the body. If I can obtain it, it should be able to speed up my cultivation of the third level of the 6 meridians divine shield realm. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. He controlled the God-Eater brain to forcibly memorize the contents of the sheepskin scroll and burned it to ashes. It's time to devour this 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king. Yi Chunfeng took a look at the time and took out the precious 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king. I wonder how much qi and blood this 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king can replenish. Yi Chunfeng had just reached the 2nd level of the 6 meridians divine shield realm, so his qi and blood were severely depleted. He was not worried about wasting the medicinal power of the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king. So sweet, this 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king is actually sweet. Yi Chunfeng took a small bite of the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king. He discovered that the taste of the blood ginseng king was completely different from normal ginseng. It was sweet and tasty, gentle and soft. After swallowing a small piece of the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king, Yi Chunfeng immediately felt waves of pure qi and blood spreading out from his body. They flowed into his crisscrossing meridians and quickly merged with his active cells. Feeling the qi and blood in his body slowly increasing, Yi Chunfeng took another bite of the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king and swallowed it. He then followed the cultivation method of the 6 meridians divine shield realm and started cultivating. As the cells in his body absorbed more and more qi and blood, his body started to heat up. His skin turned blood red, as if he could make it bleed with a light press. Feeling the vigorous qi and blood in his body showing signs of seeping out from his pores, Yi Chunfeng immediately closed his pores to prevent the qi and blood from leaking out and wasting the intelligence of the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king. As time passed, Yi Chunfeng took the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king and cultivated the 6 meridians divine shield realm. Soon, rays of gentle sunlight pierced through the dark clouds and shone on the earth. It was daybreak. After a night of cultivation, Yi Chunfeng had basically absorbed the qi and blood contained in the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king. He had replenished 60% of his qi and blood. With his qi and blood replenished, his physical strength increased rapidly. In just one night, his physical strength had increased from 5,500 pounds to a shocking 7,500 pounds. More importantly, after refining the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king, he was on the verge of breaking through to the next level. His vitality had become even stronger. It could be said that although Yi Chunfeng did not break through to the next level, his strength had increased by a lot. I wonder if with my current strength I can crush Shangguanpeng? Shangguanpeng was Yi Chunfeng's only opponent in this assessment. Furthermore, Yi Chunfeng guessed that Shangguanpeng would not be willing to be suppressed by him and lose the precious 9-chu spiritual pill. Shangguanpeng would definitely make a move against him during the Purple Cloud Mountain Range assessment. Shangguanpeng, if you dare to make a move against me today, I will definitely give you an unforgettable memory. Yi Chunfeng revealed an unruly smile. After washing up and eating, He walked towards the Immortal Ascension Hall to prepare for the final assessment. About an hour later, Yi Chunfeng arrived at the Immortal Ascension Hall under the first rays of the morning sun. At this time, he discovered that besides him, the other 9 people were all present. Because passing through the Purple Cloud mountain range was related to whether or not they could become disciples of the Sky Fire Martial House and enjoy the rich cultivation resources, Shangguan Peng, Shin Tu-yi, and the rest of the 9 people all chose to form teams. They separated into small groups and isolated Yi Chunfeng, who had the best result. However, Yi Chunfeng did not mind. With his ability to replenish 60% of his blood qi, he was confident that he could pass through the Purple Cloud mountain range and pass the final assessment with the best result. Just as Yi Chunfeng was quietly standing to the side, waiting for Elder Lu to arrive, his sharp senses detected a resentful gaze on him. Without looking, Yi Chunfeng could guess that the resentful gaze belonged to Ji Qingxue. She was still brooding over what happened last night. About 5 minutes later, an ear-piercing cry reverberated through the 9 heavens. A green-winged dove with a wingspan of more than 10 meters flew over the Purple Cloud mountain range. It was covered in green feathers and had a wingspan of more than 10 meters. Legend had it that the green-winged dove had the blood of the blue luan flowing in its body. When it flew at high speed, it could fly for thousands of miles in a day. It was the favorite flying spirit beast of some large sections. All disciples, listen up. Quickly jump onto the back of the green-winged dove. I will bring you into the Purple Cloud mountain range for the final assessment. Elder Lu signaled the green-winged dove to fly lower and ordered loudly. Hearing Elder Lu's order, Shangguan Peng, Shin Tu-yi, and the rest merged with their spirit beasts and shot up like arrows towards the green-winged dove. Due to Shangguan Peng and Shin Tu-yi's outstanding strength, they naturally occupied the best spot on the green-winged dove's back. However, before Shin Tu-yi could stand firm, a powerful force slammed into his body and sent him flying. Sorry, I have reserved this spot. Chapter 48. The Purple Cloud mountain range was the largest mountain range in the Zijin Kingdom. It stretched for hundreds of thousands of li and covered almost a fifth of the entire Zijin Kingdom. Within the vast forests of the Purple Cloud mountain range, there were many fierce beasts. It was said that in the deepest parts of the Purple Cloud mountain range, there were spirit beasts comparable to earth beast generals. In addition, the Purple Cloud mountain range was covered by the Heavenly Flame Martial House. It was very easy for people to get lost in there. Gradually, the Purple Cloud mountain range became a forbidden area and very few people dared to enter. The green-winged dove led the group to fly above the 9 heavens for more than 4 hours, and they arrived outside a restriction covered by a light screen. Formation pattern. Looking at the light screen in front of them, Yi Chunfeng recognized that it was made up of 13 small and large restrictions. It was not very powerful and was mainly used for blocking. All of you, stand properly. Elder Lu instructed. A strong spirit power burst out from his body and bombarded the light screen in front of them. In the next moment, the light screen fluctuated violently, forming ripples of energy. The vibrations caused the air to compress rapidly, forming a flow of air. Fortunately, Yi Chunfeng and the rest had extraordinary strength. Relying on their own abilities, they were able to withstand the flow of air and stand firmly on the green-winged dove. Li. The light screen opened and the green-winged dove let out a long cry. Its huge wings flapped rapidly, creating a hurricane as it flew into the light screen and landed on the ground. Alright, this is the place where you will be tested. As long as you pass through the mountains in front of you and reach the Heavenly Flame Martial House in the evening, you will be considered to have passed the test. Elder Lu jumped down from the green-winged dove and looked at Shang Guanping and the rest who were eager to try. However, during this period of time, you will be attacked by the fierce beasts and spirit beasts residing in the mountain range. You will also be obstructed by the older students. Whether you can reach the Heavenly Flame Martial House in the end will depend on your ability. Elder Lu explained the rules of the test in detail. Obstructed by the older students? So the secret to passing through the Purple Cloud mountain range is here. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. Yi Chunfeng, just you wait. In a while we will settle our old and new grudges together. I will definitely torture you to death. Shen Tui, who had just been pushed off the green-winged dove by Yi Chunfeng, gritted his teeth and muttered in his heart. Yi Chunfeng, are you interested in making a bet with me? Let's see who will be the first to cross the Violet Cloud Mountains and arrive at the Sky Fire Marshal House. Shangguan Peng walked to Yi Chunfeng's side, patted him on the shoulder and said deliberately, What do you want to bet? Ever since Yi Chunfeng had fused with the God-Eater brain, his soul perception had reached an unimaginable level. He could easily detect the tracking mark that Shangguan Peng had left on his clothes. However, he didn't expose Shangguan Peng's little trick. Instead, he asked coldly, how about we bet on each other's rewards? Shangguan Peng suggested, pretending to be contemplative. Sure, I promise you. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, I wonder if Elder Lu can be our witness? All right, since you are interested in making a bet, then I will be your witness. Elder Lu nodded and said, Yi Chunfeng, do you really think that I want to bet with you? You are too naive. Shangguan Peng revealed a trace of a sinister smile as he muttered in his heart. However, he didn't know that his little trick had already been seen through by Yi Chunfeng. All right, the test has officially begun. You can cross the Violet Cloud mountain range now, Elder Lu announced loudly. So. Just as Elder Lu's words fell, there was the sound of the air being torn apart. Yi Chunfeng and the other 10 people all sped up. Like flying arrows, they flew into the lush forest. Because of the soul mark left on Yi Chunfeng's body, Shangguan Peng and Elder Lu weren't afraid of losing him. However, they didn't pursue Yi Chunfeng on their own. They were prepared to wait until Yi Chunfeng was in the deepest part of the Violet Cloud mountain range, where Elder Lu and the others couldn't see. Then, they would make a move on him and eliminate a great threat. This Violet Cloud mountain range is indeed a blessed land. Yi Chunfeng was like an agile ape. As he continued to climb the Violet Cloud mountain range, a huge picturesque scene gradually appeared before his eyes. The sea of clouds was boundless, the mountain peaks were towering, and the deep blue stream was winding between the mountain peaks. Slowly moving, the clouds and mist lingered around the mountainside, complementing each other. It was a different kind of celestial feeling. Just as Yi Chunfeng was shuttling through the mountains and rivers, his sharp senses detected 2 indistinct soul power undulations in front of him. He guessed that there were people nearby, and his body flashed slightly as he decisively leaped into a lush thicket. He retracted his aura and hid within it. After about 10 breaths of time, 2 light sounds broke through the air. 2 young men wearing luxurious robes and holding snakeskin swords appeared at the same time. They used their sharp eyes to scan the quiet forest. From the aura emitted from their bodies, these 2 were rank 2 beast illusionists. Their strength was on par with Shangguan Peng. If it was a one-on-one battle, Yi Chunfeng was confident that he could defeat any one of them. However, facing 2 of them alone, Yi Chunfeng didn't want to take the risk and didn't make a sneak attack. That's strange. I clearly felt that there was someone here. Why did he suddenly disappear? Because the tall man cultivated the soul formula, his soul perception was far superior to ordinary people. Therefore, he had just sensed Yi Chunfeng's presence, but when he rushed over, he found that there was no one here. This puzzled him. Lian Lu, did you sense wrongly? His companion opened his mouth and asked. That shouldn't be the case. Lian Lu closed his eyes and sensed his surroundings. Indeed, he didn't sense any abnormalities. He shook his head and muttered to himself, Maybe I really sensed wrongly. After speaking, the 2 of them didn't stop. They entered the forest and continued to search for the scattered candidate. The disciples of the Sky Fire Marshal House are indeed not simple. Yi Chunfeng hid in the thicket for a while until the 2 of them were far away. Only then did he leave the thicket and continue to move in the direction of the Sky Fire Marshal House. Time passed by minute by minute. As he got closer, the number of vicious beasts in the forest increased. However, Yi Chunfeng's strength was no longer the same as before. Unless he encountered a terrifying spirit beast, he wouldn't be afraid even if he encountered a rank 9 vicious beast. Bang! Yi Chunfeng's powerful punch landed on a venomous Fong wolf, causing its head to explode. Its huge body smashed into an ancient tree and died on the spot. I wonder how far I am from the Sky Fire Marshal House. After killing a venomous Fong wolf, Yi Chunfeng leaped onto the crown of a 10-meter-tall iron oak tree. He looked into the distance and determined the direction. Just as he determined the direction and continued to approach the Sky Fire Marshal House, a terrified scream rang out in the silent forest. It's her! Chapter 49. What a beautiful young lady! A tall and sturdy man, whose robe was half open, revealing his thick chest hair, looked at the tall, elegant, and beautiful Ji Qingxue, and his eyes immediately lit up. Wen Feihong, let's break out together. We should have a chance to escape. Ji Qingxue was disgusted by the burly man's lecherous eyes and quickly shouted to her companion. Break out? With your strength? The burly man revealed a disdainful smile. A powerful aura erupted from his body like a towering mountain, pressing down on Ji Qingxue and Wen Feihong, causing their breathing to quicken. In the next moment, an octopus with 8 soft tentacles emitting green light emerged from his body. It released soul power and locked onto Ji Qingxue and Wen Feihong. Rank 2 Beast Illusionist. Sensing the burly man's strength, Ji Qingxue and Wen Feihong's faces immediately turned grave. Every disciple of the Sky Fire Marshal House had extraordinary talent. After painstakingly cultivating in the Sky Fire Marshal House, they had the ability to fight above their rank. In addition, the burly man's strength far exceeded theirs, and he had a powerful soul skill. Ji Qingxue and Wen Feihong had almost no chance of escaping. Senior brother, I am from the Imperial City's Wen clan and this is the eldest daughter of the Ji clan. I wonder if senior brother can be magnanimous and let us go. As long as we pass the test, we will definitely repay senior brother generously. Wen Feihong took a deep breath and tried his best to calm himself down before begging for mercy. Eldest daughter of the Ji clan, could it be that you are the number 1 beauty in the Imperial City, Ji Qingxue? The burly man's eyes lit up as he guessed Ji Qingxue's identity. That's me. If senior brother can let us go, I am willing to give senior brother 1,000,000 taels of silver. Ji Qingxue bit her alluring red lips and made a heavy promise. Haha, what if I don't agree? The burly man looked at Ji Qingxue's beautiful face with a burning gaze, and a perverted thought appeared in his mind. Senior brother, what do you want to let us go? Wen Feihong asked nervously. He really did not want to lose the opportunity to enter the Sky Fire Marshal House. As for you, I can consider letting you go. The burly man rolled his eyes and said with a naughty smile. What about Qingxue? Wen Feihong glanced at the pale and trembling Qingxue and asked. Boy, don't you know your situation? Get the hell out of here. The burly man's face instantly turned gloomy. He stared at him like a hungry wolf and fiercely ordered. Although Wen Feihong had a good relationship with Ji Qingxue, when he thought of the benefits of becoming a disciple of the Sky Fire Marshal House, he hesitated. Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being impolite. With that, the burly man fused with the power of his spiritual beast, the octopus, and performed a powerful soul skill. Rock Transformation Fist. The burly man threw out a punch, and his surging soul power instantly condensed into a rock-like fist light. It smashed towards Wen Feihong like a hot knife through butter. Pooh! After being attacked by the burly man's soul skill, the defense that Wen Feihong had formed using his soul power was instantly broken. He was directly sent flying by the rock transformation fist. He spat out a mouthful of blood towards the sky and flew dozens of meters away. I'll count to 3. If you don't get the hell out of here, don't blame me for crippling you. The burly man coldly looked at Wen Feihong, who was spitting out blood, and threatened him. Qingxue, I'm sorry. I can't lose this opportunity. Hearing the burly man's threat, Wen Feihong was truly afraid. Under Ji Qingxue's despairing gaze, he clutched his severely injured chest and staggered away. Little beauty, now that no one is disturbing us, can we have a good talk? The burly man lecherously looked at Ji Qingxue's curvaceous body and said with ill intentions, What do you want? If you dare to hurt me, Elder Lu will never let you off. Ji Qingxue's face was deathly pale as she retreated and warned him. Hurt you? Who can prove that I hurt you? The burly man sneered and said, Don't tell me you expect that trash to stand out and testify for you? Also, do you think Elder Lu will support a disciple who didn't pass the Sky Fire Martial House's assessment? What do you want to let me go? The burly man's words were like a dagger that pierced into the depths of Ji Qingxue's heart and shattered her last hope. I've never tasted the taste of the Imperial City's #1 beauty in all my life. If you can serve me well, I guarantee that you'll pass the assessment and become a disciple of the Sky Fire Martial House. The burly man said excitedly. Don't even think about it. Ji Qingxue bit her lips and said in humiliation. Tears kept welling up in her eyes. That's not up to you. After saying that, the burly man picked up a slender branch from the ground and attacked Ji Qingxue. Ji Qingxue wasn't a match for the burly man. In her fear, she could only use 80% of her strength and was completely suppressed by the burly man. In just half an incense stick's time, crisscrossing marks appeared on Ji Qingxue's clothes. The strength of these marks was just right, only tearing her clothes. If you don't stop, I'll die in front of you. Ji Qingxue clutched her severely damaged clothes and warned him in despair as she dodged. Haha, do you think it's possible for you to commit suicide in front of me? The tall and sturdy man stared fixedly at Ji Qingxue's exposed soft and delicate skin as he laughed arrogantly. Come here. The burly man took a big step forward and suddenly closed in on Ji Qingxue. He wanted to pull her into his arms and play with her sexy body. Go to hell. When the burly man closed in, Ji Qingxue's right hand suddenly raised and a spiky ball flew out at an extremely fast speed towards the burly man's body. Suddenly attacked by a hidden weapon, the burly man immediately released his soul power to block it. However, the spiky ball was too powerful. It penetrated his soul power defense and hit his chest, causing a large amount of blood to flow out. With the burly man injured, Ji Qingxue didn't hesitate to turn and run. She wanted to use this last chance to escape from the burly man's pursuit. Damn it, where are you running to? The burly man roared. He controlled his soul power to force out the spiky ball and chased after Ji Qingxue, ignoring the injury on his chest. A starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Although the burly man was heavily injured, his speed was far superior to Ji Qingxue's. In just 5 breaths, he blocked Ji Qingxue's path. Stinking woman, you forced me to do this. The burly man covered his bloody chest and walked towards Ji Qingxue, who was filled with despair and looked pitiful. If I don't play you to death today, I'll change my surname to yours. The burly man roared. With a strong sense of oppression, he pounced towards the terrified Ji Qingxue. He wanted to press her under his body and vent the anger in his heart. Chapter 50. Yi Chen-feng. The despairing Ji Qingxue saw a familiar figure appear in front of her eyes. He unleashed a powerful aura and launched a fatal attack at the burly man. Boom! Yi Chen-feng's fist, which had compressed his strength to the limit, collided with the burly man's hastily blocked fist. Following that, Yi Chen-feng's strength, which was boosted by nearly 5,000 kilograms after fusing with the blood egg, clashed with the burly man's destructive soul force and caused ripples of energy to appear. Crack! As the ripples of energy became more and more concentrated, a crisp cracking sound suddenly rang out in the silent forest. The burly man watched in horror as the soul force covering his arm began to crack. The powerful force broke into his arm, shaking the skin on his arm to the point that it suddenly burst open. Even his white bones were unable to withstand such a terrifying force, breaking inch by inch, piercing out of his badly mangled skin. It was a ghastly sight. After succeeding with one strike, Yi Chunfeng did not give the burly man any chance to catch his breath. His body was like a spinning top as he spun on the spot. His right leg, which was filled with the force of 10,000 jin, landed a solid kick on the burly man's chest. The burly man's chest had already been injured by the spiky ball. Now that he was hit again, his chest caved in and several of his ribs broke. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his body was like a kite with its string cut. He crashed to the ground and couldn't get up for a long time. "Are you all right?" Yi Chunfeng looked at Ji Qingxue, whose clothes were severely damaged, and asked without a trace of emotion. Thank you for saving me." Ji Qingxue never dreamed that the person who saved her in the end would be Yi Chunfeng, who she hated from the bottom of her heart. Furthermore, when Yi Chunfeng launched his sneak attack, she vaguely felt a sense of familiarity. However, she never thought that Yi Chunfeng and Master Chen were the same person. She didn't suspect his identity. "Be careful in the future." Yi Chunfeng nodded and turned his gaze to the heavily injured burly man whose chest had caved in. He walked over step by step. What do you want?" As he met Yi Chunfeng's cold gaze, the tall and sturdy man's heart trembled. He braced himself and warned, "The Sky Fire Martial House strictly forbids killing each other. If you hurt me again, you will be violating the Martial House's rules and will be severely punished by the Martial House." "Really? Then what were you doing just now?" Yi Chunfeng sneered and said with killing intent. Although Yi Chunfeng didn't want to have anything to do with Ji Qingxue, he hated the tall and sturdy man's despicable actions. If it wasn't for his misgivings, he definitely wouldn't have let this kind of scum live in this world. "It was all my fault, please spare me." In order to survive, the burly man had no choice but to swallow his anger and beg for mercy. "Forget it, Chunfeng. I just secretly used the memory stone to remember what happened. When we arrive at the Sky Flame Martial House, we'll report this matter to Elder Lu and ask him to uphold justice for us and severely punish this bastard." Although Ji Qingxue couldn't wait to cut the tall and sturdy man into pieces, she didn't dare to violate the Martial House's rules. She softly persuaded Yi Chunfeng. "Memory stone." Hearing Ji Qingxue's words, the tall and sturdy man's face turned ashen and his eyes revealed a trace of killing intent. If Ji Qingxue really did have the memory stone, he wouldn't be able to defend himself and would no longer have a foothold in the Sky Fire Martial House. "The two of you, I really know my wrongs. I beg the two of you not to report what happened today to Elder Lu. As long as you are willing to let me go, I will agree to any conditions." The tall and sturdy man bitterly begged. "Scum, just wait for the Sky Fire Martial House's punishment." Ji Qingxue glared at him and said resentfully. If Yi Chunfeng hadn't appeared in time to save her, she would have been ruined by the tall and sturdy man and her life would have been ruined. "No, don't go. I have a 9th grade pill here. As long as you are willing to let me go, I will give you this 9th grade pill." The tall and sturdy man disregarded his injuries and stood in front of Yi Chunfeng and Ji Qingxue. He took out a dark green box from his belt. 9th grade pill. Yi Chunfeng's eyebrows twitched slightly as he cast his gaze towards the dark green box in the tall and sturdy man's hand. The moment the tall and sturdy man opened the box, Yi Chunfeng's sharp soul perception immediately sensed danger. He instinctively held his breath and dodged to the side. The moment he dodged, a cloud of fog erupted from the dark green box and sprayed onto Ji Qingxue's face, who couldn't react in time. Ji Qingxue only took a small whiff of the fog and felt a severe sense of dizziness. Her body swayed and fell to the ground, unconscious. Not good. The tall and sturdy man didn't expect Yi Chunfeng to be so agile. The fog that he had deliberately released was actually dodged by him. His heart trembled and he turned to run. Do you think you can escape? Yi Chunfeng sneered. His legs suddenly exerted force, and like a swift cheetah, he kept increasing his speed and intercepted the tall and sturdy man who had lost his head out of fear. Rock Transformation Fist. The tall and sturdy man knew the consequences of being stopped. Ignoring his injuries, he forcefully used a powerful soul skill in an attempt to force Yi Chunfeng back. If he was in his peak condition, he could still pose a threat to Yi Chunfeng by using the Rock Transformation Fist. But now he was seriously injured and could only use 30% of his strength. Boom! The moment the two fists collided, Yi Chunfeng's fist burst forth with a force of nearly 10,000 jin. It shattered the tall and sturdy man's soul skill and broke his arm, forcing him to retreat. I originally wanted to spare your life, but it seems that I don't need to anymore. Yi Chunfeng looked at the tall and sturdy man who was vomiting blood with a cold gaze. He didn't hide the killing intent in his heart. If not for his sharp soul perception, he would have been doomed if he had fallen into the tall and sturdy man's hands. You can't kill me. If you kill me, the Sky Fire Martial House will never let you off. With both his arms broken, the tall and sturdy man was afraid. He had no choice but to use the Sky Fire Martial House to pressure Yi Chunfeng. Who can prove that I killed you? And since you dared to make a move on Ji Qingxue here, it proves that this place is safe. I don't know if I guessed correctly. Yi Chunfeng sneered. Under the tall and sturdy man's desperate gaze, he slapped the tall and sturdy man's head, causing him to faint. In the next moment, a powerful devouring vortex formed in Yi Chunfeng's palm and rushed into the tall and sturdy man's head. It forcefully devoured his spiritual beast and ended his life. My soul power is finally full. Yi Chunfeng had absorbed the medicinal power of the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king and was on the verge of a breakthrough. Now that he had devoured the tall and sturdy man's Class 2 beast illusionist spiritual beast, the soul power contained in the blood egg immediately reached a level of overflowing. A pure soul power flowed through Yi Chunfeng's body, transforming the white soul power in his body. Chapter 51. I've finally broken through to the rank 1 beast illusionist realm. Yi Chunfeng smiled as he felt his white soul power transform into green soul power. His strength had increased by more than 3 times and his physical strength had increased by more than 250 kilograms. It could be said that after breaking through to the beast illusionist realm, Yi Chunfeng could be considered to have truly stepped onto the path of cultivation that defied the heavens. He could now cultivate soul skills that could shock everyone. Because his breakthrough this time was the result of overflowing soul power, he didn't need to consolidate his realm, and the soul power in his body was already stabilized. After breaking through to the next realm, Yi Chunfeng came to the unconscious Ji Qingxue, who had accidentally inhaled the fog. Although Yi Chunfeng didn't have a good impression of Ji Qingxue, he had to admit that Ji Qingxue was indeed too beautiful, especially with her flawless facial features. However, he didn't have any distracting thoughts in his mind. He found the antidote on the burly man's body and gently opened Ji Qingxue's rosy lips to feed her. About 5 minutes later, Ji Qingxue slowly regained consciousness and woke up from her coma. She recalled the scene before she fainted and her face was filled with fear. However, when she saw Yi Chunfeng sitting not far from her, silently regulating his breathing to protect her, the nervousness on her face disappeared and her heart was moved. She knew that Yi Chunfeng had saved her once again, and she owed him twice. Just as she was about to open her mouth to thank him, she saw the burly man lying motionless in a pool of blood. Her expression instantly froze. "You're awake." Yi Chunfeng opened his eyes and looked at Ji Qingxue, who had a serious expression on her face. You killed him." Ji Qingxue didn't expect Yi Chunfeng to be so daring that he even dared to kill a senior from the Sky Fire Martial House. "Yes, if I didn't kill him, he would have killed us." Yi Chunfeng nodded and said without a trace of emotion. "Yi Chunfeng, we can report his actions to the Sky Fire Martial House." With this memory stone, The Sky Fire Martial House will definitely uphold justice for us. Ji Qingxue felt the seriousness of the situation and said emotionally, but now that he's dead, we're finished. The Sky Fire Martial House will definitely not let us off. I hate trouble. Moreover, if you and I don't say anything, who would know that he died in my hands? When the time comes, I will throw his corpse into the midst of the vicious beasts to create a false impression. I believe that even if the Sky Fire Martial House investigates, they won't suspect us. Yi Chunfeng said calmly as he looked at Ji Qingxue with a burning gaze. But, no buts. Yi Chunfeng interrupted her and said, Ji Qingxue, you and I both know the consequences of this matter. Therefore, you have two choices now. Either you choose to give up and withdraw from the Sky Fire Martial House's assessment to protect yourself, or you give me the memory stone and help me hide this matter. But, can this be hidden? Ji Qingxue said helplessly. Also, when Fei Hong knows what happened here, I'm afraid he will tell on us. When Fei Hong, he was also here just now. Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly, his face revealing a trace of seriousness. Yes, he was with me just now. But because he was afraid, he abandoned me and ran away alone. Ji Qingxue nodded and said. Although Ji Qingxue didn't like Yi Chunfeng from the bottom of her heart, she had to admit that Yi Chunfeng was much stronger than Wen Fei Hong. At the very least, he wouldn't abandon her and run away alone. I will think of a way to deal with Wen Fei Hong. You only need to remember that once this matter is exposed and Elder Lu and the rest ask about it, you have to pretend that you know nothing. Yi Chunfeng solemnly instructed. Then alright. Ji Qingxue didn't want to give up the opportunity to become a disciple of the Sky Fire Martial House. She bit her moist lips and decided to take a gamble. She gave the memory stone to Yi Chunfeng. Alright, I'm leaving first. Be careful. After saying that, Yi Chunfeng didn't hesitate and quickly left with the burly man's corpse. Yi Chunfeng spent more than an hour and was lucky enough to find a pack of wolves in the Amethyst Mountains. He threw the burly man's corpse into the pack and quickly left. When Fei Hong, this person is quite troublesome. After dealing with the burly man's corpse, Yi Chunfeng's face didn't relax. When Fei Hong was like a thorn in his heart, causing him to worry. Oh, there's someone. Just as Yi Chunfeng was thinking about how to deal with Wen Fei Hong, a light rustling sound of leaves rustling entered his ears. He raised his head slightly and saw a tall young man wearing a black robe standing on a fragile branch with a long spear in his hand. He was looking at him mockingly. The disciples of the Sky Fire Martial House are indeed not simple. Although the black-clothed man was a level 2 beast illusionist and didn't give Yi Chunfeng any pressure, his light as a feather qing gong made Yi Chunfeng think highly of him. Kid, you are very unlucky to have met me. The black-clothed man revealed a cold smile and said, but if you have a treasure that can move me, I can consider letting you go. What if I don't have a treasure and want to go over? Yi Chunfeng sneered. Then we'll see if you have the ability. As he said that, the black-clothed man lightly kicked off the ground and jumped into the air. He held a 9-foot 9-inch long spear in his hand and thrust it towards Yi Chunfeng. The black-clothed man thrust his spear like lightning. Not only did Yi Chunfeng not dodge, but he also rushed towards him. Just as the black-clothed man's spear was about to pierce Yi Chunfeng's chest, his right hand suddenly struck out towards the sharp tip of the spear. Courting death. The black-clothed man didn't expect Yi Chunfeng to use his palm to block his spear. He revealed a cruel smile. But in the next moment, the expression on his face froze. This was because he discovered that the power coming from Yi Chunfeng's palm not only dissolved the power of his spear, but also a power that was beyond his control passed through the tip of the spear and into his arm, causing him to almost lose his grip on the spear. Just as he was horrified by Yi Chunfeng's terrifying physical strength, Yi Chunfeng quickly threw out a punch, forcing him to fuse with the power of his spiritual beast and defend with all his might. Defeat! Yi Chunfeng roared, and a force of more than 5,000 kilograms erupted in his fist. The powerful force directly shattered the black-clothed man's soul power defense and hit him in the chest, sending him flying with one punch. Pfft! The black-clothed man raised his head and spat out a mouthful of blood. He smashed an ancient tree that was more than 10 meters tall behind him and fell heavily to the ground, unable to get up for a long time. If you don't want to be beaten up, give me your treasure. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Yi Chunfeng looked down at him condescendingly and threatened coldly. You. Chapter 52. 30 low-grade soul crystals, not a bad harvest. When Yi Chunfeng was searching for the spoils of war, he found 30 low-grade soul crystals in the black-clothed man's arms, as well as a sheepskin scroll that was slightly yellow and had restrictions on it. Could it be a soul skill? Yi Chunfeng raised his eyebrows slightly as he combined the inherited memories in the God-Eater brain to decipher the array patterns on the sheepskin scroll. Break! In about 3 breaths of time, Yi Chunfeng's eyes shot out beams of light. The power of the formation patterns was injected into the formation patterns with the power of his will, and he forcefully broke it open. In the next moment, a large number of small words appeared on the dim sheepskin scroll, forming a mysterious soul skill scroll. Mid-grade spirit rank soul skill, Soulshock Finger. Yi Chunfeng quickly skimmed through the soul skills recorded on the scroll and was surprised to find that the sheepskin scroll was actually a mid-grade spirit rank soul skill. It was divided into 3 styles: Starburst, Starburst, and Soulbreaker. I was just worried about not having any soul skills to use, and you gave me one. I really don't know how to thank you. Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile as he immediately focused on memorizing it. After fusing with the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng's perception had reached an unimaginable level. He only took an incense stick's worth of time to memorize the cultivation method of Soulshock Finger and began to cultivate it. Soulshock Stab was a mid-grade spirit rank soul skill, and it was difficult to cultivate. It was difficult for an ordinary person to cultivate it to the greater mastery realm even after a year of hard work. However, Yi Chunfeng did not find any difficulty in cultivating it. It was as if success was achieved when the conditions were right, and he quickly grasped the essentials. A cool breeze blew, and the fallen leaves drifted down. Starburst! Looking at the falling leaves in front of him, Yi Chunfeng suddenly pointed his finger, and rays of green light shot out like stars that filled the sky, shattering the falling leaves in front of him. Yi Chunfeng's movements were smooth and unrestrained, without the slightest hesitation. After one finger, he pointed out another finger. A snake-like finger light flashed in the air, piercing through an ancient tree in the distance that would require 6 people to wrap their arms around it. Yi Chunfeng was slightly surprised and delighted as he looked at the cracked ancient trees in the distance. He did not expect his brain to be modified by the God-Eater brain and his comprehension ability to become so monstrous. In just half an hour, he had comprehended the first 2 moves of the frightening finger. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chunfeng's mind flashed with a flash of light. The cultivation method of the 3rd move of the frightening spirit finger, Soul Breaker, appeared in his mind. What is he doing? About an hour later, the black-clothed man woke up from his coma. When he crawled out of the pile of wood, he was stunned by the scene in front of him. In the next moment, a wisp of shock that came from the depths of his soul completely occupied his body, to the extent that he opened his mouth but was unable to utter a single word for a long time. Soul Breaker. Yi Chunfeng pointed out a finger. The cyan soul power that revolved around his fingertips suddenly accelerated, forming a 1-foot-long spiraling finger light. With astonishing speed, it struck the cracked ancient tree in the distance. The tall ancient tree was smashed into pieces, filling the sky with fragments that danced in the air. He cultivated the frightening finger to the large success stage in a little over an hour. Is he really human? The black-clothed man stared at Yi Chunfeng, flabbergasted, as if he had seen a ghost. Half a year ago, The black-clothed man had spent almost all of his savings to exchange for the frightening finger from the Sky Fire Martial House's Soul Skill Pavilion. In this half a year, he had spent most of his energy on cultivating the frightening finger. However, he had only managed to cultivate the first 2 moves of the frightening finger and was unable to comprehend the third move, Soul Breaker. However, Yi Chunfeng had only used a little over an hour to completely comprehend it. This caused the black-clothed man to look at Yi Chunfeng with eyes full of reverence and fear. "I'll return this frightening finger scroll to you." Yi Chunfeng did not dare to keep the frightening finger for himself, as he did not want to offend the Sky Fire Martial House's rules. He threw the scroll back to the black-clothed man, who had a dull look in his eyes. His body flashed and disappeared into the vast forest. Monster. There's actually a monster among this year's new students. The Sky Fire Martial House is going to be lively. The black-clothed man's throat rolled as he stared at Yi Chunfeng's disappearing figure. He muttered to himself with a lingering fear. "I've been delayed for more than an hour. I wonder how far Shang Guanping and Shin Tu-Yi have left me behind." Yi Chunfeng calculated the time and felt that Shang Guanping and Shin Tu-Yi had left him behind by quite a bit. He continued to increase his speed, chasing after the 2 of them while searching for Wen Feihong's whereabouts. At the same time, Shang Guanping, Shin Tu-Yi, and Shin Tu-Shui, who was wearing a long red robe and had a grave expression and an aura that was even sharper than Shang Guanping's, were scattered along the roads leading to the Sky Fire Martial House. They were waiting for Yi Chunfeng to appear. Damn, what is that Yi Chunfeng doing? Why is he so slow? Could he have sensed something? Shin Tu-Yi, who was hiding in the bushes and patiently waiting for the afternoon, suddenly became anxious when he realized that Yi Chunfeng had not appeared. If he could not stop Yi Chunfeng and let him successfully pass through the Amethyst Mountain Range, then not only would he lose the Sky Fire Martial House's reward, he would also be taught a lesson and lose all his face. This was something that Shin Tu-Yi did not want to see. Someone's coming. Just as Shin Tu-Yi was gradually losing his patience, suddenly, a light rustling of leaves entered his ears. Following the source of the sound, he saw Wen Feihong, who was cautiously walking towards him with light steps. Damn, why is there a piece of trash here? Shin Tu-Yi looked at Wen Feihong, who was getting closer and closer. His eyes revealed a trace of disdain. Regardless of status or strength, he firmly suppressed Wen Feihong. Therefore, he had never placed Wen Feihong in his eyes. Whoosh! Shin Tu-Ye's body moved like a swift leopard. He leapt out from the lush bushes and intercepted Wen Feihong. Shin Tu-Yi, what are you trying to do? Shin Tu-Ye's sudden appearance gave Wen Feihong a fright. However, when he saw the person who intercepted him, Wen Feihong let out a sigh of relief and asked cautiously. Wen Feihong, if you honestly answer one of my questions, I will let you pass. If you don't know what's good for you, then don't blame me for being impolite. Shin Tu-Yi threatened with a gloomy expression. What do you want to ask? Although Wen Feihong was annoyed by Shin Tu-Ye's attitude, he did not dare to offend him. He could only suppress the anger in his heart and ask in a low voice. Let me ask you, do you know the whereabouts of Yi Chunfeng? Shin Tu-Yi asked. I don't know. I did not meet him. Wen Feihong shook his head and said, Really? You're not lying to me? As he spoke, a powerful baleful aura was emitted from Shin Tu-Ye's body. It locked onto Wen Feihong and coldly questioned him. I can swear that I really did not meet Yi Chunfeng in the Purple Cloud Mountain Range. Wen Feihong was only a rank 6 spiritual beast. He could not withstand the impact of Shin Tu-Ye's baleful aura and said with a pale face. Is that so? Shin Tu-Yi said with a gloomy expression. An ominous glint continuously shot out from his eyes. Shin Tu-Yi, why are you in such a hurry to find me? Could it be that you can't wait to fight with me? Chapter 53. Yi Chunfeng, you're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Looking at Yi Chunfeng, who was slowly walking over, Shen Tui hurriedly crushed the sensing stone that he had hidden in his clothes. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Shen Tui, I have no intention of interfering in the matter between you and Yi Chunfeng. I'll take my leave first. Seeing the two of them at daggers drawn, Wen Fei Hong felt deeply uneasy. He wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. It's too late. No one can leave now. Shen Tui said domineeringly. Shen Tui, what are you trying to do? Don't tell me you want to kill me? Wen Fei Hong said with an ugly expression, I'm warning you. If anything happens to me, the Sky Fire Martial House will not let you off. Wen Fei Hong, I can give you a chance. If you're willing to join forces with me to delay Yi Chunfeng, I'll let you go immediately. If you don't agree, then this day next year will be the day you die. Shen Tui's eyes rolled slightly as he coldly threatened. Really? The uneasy Wen Fei Hong raised his eyebrows and said doubtfully. Wen Fei Hong, this is your only chance to live. If you don't take it, I'll be the first to kill you. Shen Tui threatened with killing intent. Seeing the wavering Wen Fei Hong, Yi Chunfeng was unmoved. He patiently waited for Wen Fei Hong to make his choice. If Wen Fei Hong really chose to help Shen Tui deal with him, then Yi Chunfeng would have no more worries and kill him with all his might. Shen Tui, swear that if I help you deal with Yi Chunfeng, you'll let me go. Wen Fei Hong made up his mind and looked at Shen Tui with a burning gaze as he said loudly. All right, I swear that if you help me deal with Yi Chunfeng, I'll let you go. Shen Tui swore in front of everyone. I hope you're not lying to me. Otherwise, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Hearing Shen Tui swear in front of everyone, Wen Fei Hong's uneasy heart calmed down a lot. Wen Fei Hong, I thought you were a character. I didn't expect your intelligence to be so low. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said, Shen Tui swore to let you go, but will his companions let you go? If something really happened to me, would they be stupid enough to leave a scourge like you behind to threaten them? Hearing Yi Chunfeng's words, Wen Fei Hong's expression changed greatly. He knew that Yi Chunfeng was right. If something happened to Yi Chunfeng, Shen Tui would definitely kill him to silence him. Wen Fei Hong, don't listen to his nonsense. Since I've already sworn an oath, I won't harm you. Shen Tui didn't dare to face Yi Chunfeng alone, so he defended himself loudly. However, Wen Fei Hong was already a bird startled by the twang of a bow. He knew that his only way out was to forcefully break through the encirclement. He quickly turned around and fled towards the shrubbery at the side. Where are you going? Just as Wen Fei Hong was about to leap into the lush shrubbery and escape, a deep voice suddenly entered his ears. Shangguan Peng, who was tall and sturdy and wielded a pair of heavy axes, and Shintu Shui, who was dressed in a blood-red robe and whose appearance was somewhat similar to Shintu Yi, arrived in time and stopped Wen Fei Hong, who was trying to escape. Cousin, Shangguan Peng, stop that brat. Don't let him escape. Seeing that Shen Tuxue and Shangguan Peng had arrived in time at the crucial moment, Shen Tui was overjoyed and shouted loudly. No, don't kill me. As long as you let me go, I'm willing to agree to any of your conditions. In order to survive, Wen Fei Hong gave up his dignity and bitterly begged for mercy. Facing Wen Fei Hong's begging, Shangguan Peng was unmoved. Wielding the heavy axes, he launched a fierce attack at Wen Fei Hong, forcing him to retreat continuously. Go to hell. Breaking through Wen Fei Hong's soul power defense, Shangguan Peng combined his axes. A blazing axe ray fell from the sky, directly splitting Wen Fei Hong's body into two halves. Shen Tui, in order to get rid of me, you guys have really put in a lot of effort. Yi Chunfeng glanced at Wen Fei Hong's corpse, which was split from the middle, lying in a pool of blood. There was no change in his expression as he spoke in a low voice. It's too late to be afraid now. Shen Tui sneered and said, From the moment you offended me, your fate was already decided. But don't worry, I'll give you a quick death. Shen Tui, I've realized that you're as naive as Wen Fei Hong. Yi Chunfeng shook his head. Rays of green light were emitted from his body. Rank 1 Beast Illusionist, you've broken through to Rank 1 Beast Illusionist. Seeing the faint green light emitted from Yi Qinfeng's body, Shen Tui and Shangguan Peng's eyes widened, revealing looks of disbelief. They couldn't imagine that Yi Qinfeng actually had the time to break through while crossing the Purple Cloud mountain range. A trace of uneasiness arose in their hearts. Isn't it just a Rank 1 Beast Illusionist brat? What's there to be afraid of? Shen Tuxue had never experienced how terrifying Yi Qinfeng was, so he didn't put him in his eyes at all. Blood toad fuse. With a thought from Shen Tuxue, a blood-red giant toad covered in disgusting lumps appeared on his body. It emitted a sound wave that caused one's eardrums to slightly vibrate as it locked onto Yi Qinfeng. Rank 3 Beast Illusionist. Sensing Shen Tuxue's strength, Yi Qinfeng's face revealed a trace of seriousness. Although Yi Qinfeng's strength had increased by a lot, and he had comprehended the mid-grade spirit rank soul skill, Shen Tuxue was a genius from the Heavenly Fire Martial House. He was a great threat to him. Furthermore, with Shangguan Peng and Shen Tui eyeing him covetously, Yi Qinfeng knew that he had to seize the initiative, or else it would be very dangerous. Brat, if there's a next life, remember to wipe your eyes. There are some people you can't afford to offend. After condensing the blood toad, Shen Tuxue revealed a sinister expression. With a thought, the blood toad that was floating in midair jumped and appeared in front of Yi Qinfeng. In the next moment, the blood toad's huge body suddenly expanded. A powerful sound wave was emitted from the blood toad's bloody mouth. It was like a surging river that bombarded Yi Qinfeng. 10,000 gene of strength break. Suddenly facing the blood toad's sound wave attack, Yi Qinfeng didn't dodge. Instead, he erupted with an astonishing 10,000 gene of strength to meet it head-on. Boom! When the two powerful forces collided, a deafening explosion immediately erupted. The powerful rebounding force shattered the surrounding ancient trees, turning them into fragments that filled the sky. Cracks also appeared on the ground. Wind Wing Slash. Ancient Spirit Hand. While Yi Qinfeng and Shen Tuxue were fighting, Shangguan Peng and Shen Tuxue immediately used their soul skills to attack Yi Qinfeng. As the two powerful soul skills attacked, Yi Qinfeng's pupils shrank. The cultivation method of fulgurating shadow flashed through his mind. He instinctively took 3 extremely strange steps and dodged the 2 soul skills before retreating to the side. These 3 steps were the essence of fulgurating shadow. However, to cultivate fulgurating shadow, other than comprehending its essence, one also had to comprehend its concept to be able to condense a speed shadow. And I've underestimated you. Seeing Yi Qinfeng's strange steps, Shen Tuxue raised his brows and revealed a trace of astonishment on his arrogant face. Cousin, this brat is very strange. Let's attack together. We must eliminate him today. Otherwise, if this matter is exposed, we will be in trouble. Shen Tuxue was even more astonished. He couldn't accept that Yi Qinfeng had not only broken through in a few hours, but also grasped a strange step. Alright. Chapter 54. Following Yi Qinfeng's shout, his battle intent rose to the peak. All the muscles in his body vibrated, and a terrifying physical strength spread out in all directions with his body as the center. Feeling the battle intent and strength surging out from Yi Qinfeng's body, Shen Tuxue's expression finally changed. This was because even he was unable to release such a terrifying strength. He knew that he had underestimated Yi Qinfeng. Swish, raising his strength to the peak, Yi Qinfeng's feet flashed, and he dodged Shen Tuxue's shadowless rod at a very strange angle. He appeared in front of Shen Tuyi, who had turned pale with fright. Moon Concealing Slash. Sensing the killing intent in Yi Qinfeng's eyes, Shen Tuyi's heart trembled. Soul power surged into the long blade in his hand, and he used his soul skill at close range, wanting to force Yi Qinfeng to retreat. Star Point. The long blade pulsing with green soul power slashed down, but Yi Qinfeng did not dodge. He extended his index finger, which was overflowing with soul power, to meet the attack. A finger flickering with starlight heavily hit Shin Tu-Ye's moon-concealing slash, forcibly shattering the blade light that cut through the air. Pooh! Shin Tu-Ye's chest was hit by the remaining power of the star point, and a bloody wound was immediately left behind. Blood splattered everywhere. Yi Chunfeng originally had the chance to kill Shin Tu-Ye with this attack, but he did not have the confidence to kill Shin Tu-Shue. Helpless, he could only injure Shin Tu-Ye. Wind Wing Slash. The moment Yi Chunfeng injured Shin Tu-Ye, Shangguan Peng's soul skill slashed down, slashing towards his back. Just as Yi Chunfeng was about to be struck by the two powerful axe lights, an illusory light flashed beneath his feet once again. His body slid like a living fish as he dodged Shangguan Peng's soul skill. 5,000 kilograms of strength. The moment Yi Chunfeng dodged, all the strength in his body surged into his fist like a violent tide, and he smashed it towards Shangguan Peng's chest. The wind from the fist whistled like a gale, causing Shangguan Peng to feel suffocated. Yi Chunfeng's fist had not yet arrived, but the qi had already hurt him. The terrifying power of the fist made Shangguan Peng's expression change greatly. He hurriedly placed the heavy axe in front of his chest to block Yi Chunfeng's attack. Bang! Yi Chunfeng's fist, which had compressed his strength to the extreme, heavily smashed onto the axe in front of Shangguan Peng's chest. The powerful shock caused Shangguan Peng's arm to go numb, and the heavy axe ruthlessly struck his chest. He felt a tightness in his chest and a sweetness in his throat. He was sent flying by the terrifying recoil and fell more than 10 meters away. His injuries were not light. Roaring technique. Shin Tu-Shue did not expect that Yi Chunfeng would be able to heavily injure Shangguan Peng and Shin Tu-Ye in the blink of an eye. His expression turned abnormally ugly as a blood-toad phantom appeared behind him. A powerful sound wave shot out from his mouth and bombarded Yi Chunfeng. After being attacked by the roaring technique, Yi Chunfeng only felt his soul tremble. The blood in his body began to churn, and many of his meridians were damaged. His reaction became slightly sluggish. Shocking Shadowless Rod. Seizing this opportunity, Shin Tu-Shue's Shadowless Rod appeared in his hand, enveloping the void. He lashed out at Yi Chunfeng's head in an attempt to smash it. Startling Ray. At this critical moment, Yi Chunfeng instinctively reacted. A ray of light that was like a spirit snake flashed in the air and touched the overlapping Shadowless Rod. It offset a portion of the shocking Shadowless Rod's attack and slowed down the speed of the rod's attack. He dodged to the side in a thrilling manner. Gotcha! The ground beneath Yi Chunfeng's feet was struck by the shocking Shadowless Rod. Immediately, a several-meter-deep crack appeared. The powerful force caused the ground to tremble violently. Soul Scare Finger. How do you know the Soul Scare Finger that has never been taught to outsiders in my Heavenly Fire Martial House? Furthermore, you have even cultivated it to the second stage. Shin Tu-Shue recognized the Soul Scare Finger and knew its value. His face became even more gloomy as he questioned with an ice-cold voice. Yi Chunfeng, who was injured and had consumed a lot of energy, did not answer Shin Tu-Shue's question. He quickly threw a soul recovery pill into his mouth. While recovering his exhausted soul power, he leaped towards a nearby bush in an attempt to quickly leave this place. Cousin, you must not let him escape. Otherwise, we will be in trouble. The heavily injured Shin Tu-Ye immediately shouted when he saw Yi Chunfeng trying to escape. Don't worry, he won't be able to escape. 8 steps overtaking Cicada. Shin Tu-Shue used his speed soul skill and his entire body suddenly increased in speed. With a few strides, he closed the distance between him and Yi Chunfeng. Roaring technique. After closing the distance, the blood-toad phantom appeared on his body once again. Rolling sound waves blasted through the layers of air and heavily bombarded Yi Chunfeng's body. After being continuously attacked by the roaring technique, Yi Chunfeng's meridians were severely damaged. Streams of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Go to hell. Shocking Shadowless Rod. Shin Tu Shui poured all of his soul power into the shadowless rod and used his strongest soul skill again to attack Yi Chunfeng. Soul Breaker. At the critical moment, Yi Chunfeng, who was prepared in advance, instantly recovered his senses. He poured all of his soul power into his right index finger and used the third move of the soul scare finger, which was also the most powerful move. A foot-long soul-shattering finger ray that spun at high speeds struck the heaven-shocking shadowless staff, forcibly piercing through the stacked heaven-shocking staff ray. The remaining power shot toward Shin Tu Shui, whose expression had changed greatly. 1. When the soul breaker finger struck the shadowless rod in front of Shin Tu Shui's chest, it immediately produced a powerful recoil. The recoil caused his arm to go numb and his palm to bleed. Soul breaker finger. You actually cultivated the soul scare finger to the great mastery realm. Who exactly are you? Shin Tu Shui exclaimed. He was shocked that Yi Chunfeng actually cultivated the extremely difficult soul breaker finger to the great mastery realm. Although he had been able to break Shin Tu Shui's attacks, Shin Tu Shui's strength had indeed brought him a great threat. After considering everything, Yi Chunfeng wanted to leave this troublesome place as soon as possible. Once he obtained the Juku Spirit Pill and increased his strength, he would slowly settle the score with them. After making his decision, Yi Chunfeng's body flashed and he once again leapt towards the shrubbery at the side. Where do you think you're going? When Shin Tu Shui saw that Yi Chunfeng was continuing to flee, he suddenly threw the shadowless rod in his hand. Like a flash of light, it attacked Yi Chunfeng's back, forcing him to dodge. When Yi Chunfeng used the phantom displacement technique and 2 streaks of light flashed under his feet, strangely dodging the shadowless rod's attack, Shin Tu Shui, who was using the 8-step cicada overtaking technique, closed in on him. His right palm shone with green soul power as he used a soul skill to attack Yi Chunfeng at close range. Soul Breaker. Seeing the incoming palm, Yi Chunfeng disregarded the damage to his meridians and used the soul breaker finger again. It consumed a lot of soul power, but its power was astonishing. It broke Shin Tu Shui's soul skill with one finger and forced him to retreat. Chapter 55. Pooh! Yi Chunfeng used shape-shifting phantom and ran for half an hour in the purple cloud mountains. He could no longer hold on and spat out a mouthful of blood, his face turning pale. If he had not taken a soul recovery pill earlier, he would not have been able to withstand the exhaustion of using the frightening soul finger. It would have been even more difficult to escape Shin Tu Shui's pursuit. However, even after taking the soul recovery pill, Yi Chunfeng's injuries were still serious. If Yi Chunfeng's body had not been modified by the 6th-meridian divine shield, his meridians might have been torn apart by Shin Tu Shui's sonic soul technique. Shin Tu Shui, Shin Tu Yi, Shangguan Peng, I will definitely take revenge on you in the future. Yi Chunfeng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and used the soul-devouring art to absorb the remaining medicinal effects of the soul recovery pill. He continued to cross the purple cloud mountains and slowly approached the Sky Fire Marshal House. What do we do? That kid escaped. We are in big trouble. Shin Tu-ye's forehead was covered in cold sweat as he felt uneasy after failing to kill Wen Yun. Once the matter of them killing Wen Feihong and trying to kill Yi Chunfeng was exposed, the Sky Fire Marshal House would not let them off even if the 2 family heads came forward. Don't panic. Shin Tu Shui's eyes flashed as he said in a low voice, Our first task is to get rid of his corpse so that the Sky Fire Marshal House cannot find any evidence. As for killing Yi Chunfeng, you don't have to worry too much. My task is to stop him. Besides Elder Liu, there is also Elder Yu who has a good relationship with my Shin Tu family clan. When the Sky Fire Marshal House's elders ask about it, I will take responsibility for this matter. You just have to bite the bullet and deny it. We can only do this now. Shin Tu Yi and Shangguan Peng looked at each other and saw the worry in each other's eyes. Why? Are you worried about his revenge in the future? Shin Tu Shui noticed the worry in their eyes and asked with a cold expression. Yi Chunfeng's growth rate is too fast. If we give him a certain amount of time to grow, even if we manage to avoid this calamity, it will be very dangerous in the future. Shin Tui nodded and said worriedly, "That's right. Before we crossed the Amethyst Mountain range this morning, his overall strength was probably inferior to mine. But now, his strength is enough to crush me. If we allow him to enter the Sky Fire Martial House to cultivate for a period of time, he will become our nightmare," Shangguan Peng said with a grave expression. If he had known earlier that this would be the outcome, even if he was given 100 guts, he would not take the risk to kill Yi Chunfeng. "Don't worry, I won't let him enter the Sky Fire Martial House." Shintu Shui's eyes flashed with an ominous glint as he spoke in a low voice. "Cousin, do you have any good ideas?" Shintu Yi raised his eyebrows and asked expectantly. "Just based on that brat's unauthorized practice of the Martial House's soul skills, I can use the Martial House's rules to deal with him." Shintu Shui said viciously, "All right, the two of you shouldn't be together. Wait for me to reach the Sky Fire Martial House before you appear." "Cousin, I'll leave everything to you," Shintu Shui said with a heavy heart as he nodded. As the sun set in the west, the afterglow poured down. The beautiful Amethyst mountain range was speckled with golden specks of light. Green trees, wild flowers, small streams, and boulders outlined a beautiful picture. "Elder Lu, didn't you say that in this batch of students, there is a youth called Yi Chunfeng who is a rare genius that only appears once in 100 years? But at this time, why haven't we seen him cross the Amethyst mountain range and arrive here?" Beside the white-haired Elder Lu, an old man with a slender figure, a square face, and a clear scar at the corner of his left eye said coldly as he looked at the forest in the distance. From his tone, one could tell that he did not have a good relationship with Elder Lu. Speed does not represent everything. Comprehension and physical condition are the most important. Elder Lu said with a calm expression, "I think highly of this Yi Chunfeng. Is that so?" The square-faced old man sneered, "I hope that the genius you speak of is not someone with an undeserved reputation." As he spoke, a figure suddenly passed through a patch of shrubbery and appeared before their eyes. Seeing the approaching figure, Elder Lu revealed a faint smile. "Elder Yu, isn't this Yi Chunfeng here?" "He is Yi Chunfeng." Elder Yu's pupils shrank as he shot his gaze towards Yi Chunfeng. When he saw that Yi Chunfeng's clothes were severely damaged and his face was deathly pale, he could not help but reveal a trace of mockery. "Elder Lu, this is the genius that you keep praising? He's not much. At least his results in the first 3 rounds are much better than Shangguan Peng and Shin Tu Yi, who you think highly of," Elder Lu retorted without holding back. Hearing Elder Lu's retort, Elder Yu was speechless. His face was ashen, and even his gaze towards Yi Chunfeng became gloomy. "And, Chunfeng, why are your injuries so serious? What did you encounter in the Amethyst mountain range?" After approaching, Elder Lu discovered that Yi Chunfeng's injuries were not light, and the soul force in his body was extremely chaotic. He revealed a trace of astonishment as he asked with concern, "Elder Lu, I was just about to report to you. When I was crossing the Amethyst mountain range, I was ambushed by Shangguan Peng, Shin Tu Yi, and a senior from the Sky Fire Martial House. When Fei Hong, who was with me, was unfortunately killed by them," Yi Chunfeng reported, giving a simple account of what had happened. "What?" Hearing Yi Chunfeng's report, Elder Lu and Elder Yu revealed expressions of shock. Following that, Elder Lu's face darkened as he roared furiously, "They have guts! For their own selfish gains, they actually willfully killed the innocent. I will not forgive them." "Elder Lu, this is only his side of the story. Let's wait for Shangguan Peng and Shin Tu Yi to arrive before making a decision." Elder Yu's eyes flickered as he spoke. Obviously, what Yi Chunfeng had just reported was out of his control. If Yi Chunfeng was telling the truth, Shangguan Peng and Shin Tu Yi would not be able to escape death. This was something he absolutely did not wish to see. "Don't worry, I will give them a chance to explain themselves." However, if this matter is true, I will immediately execute them. Elder Lu said in a low voice. Qingfeng, this soul recovery pill is for you. Take it and heal your injuries properly. I will definitely uphold justice for you. Elder Lu took out a soul recovery pill from his Qiankuan bag and handed it to Yi Chunfeng as he promised. Thank you, Elder Lu. Yi Chunfeng received the soul recovery pill and raised his head to swallow it. He then circulated the soul-devouring art and quickly refined and absorbed the pill to heal his injuries. After approximately half an incense's time, a figure emerged from the lush shrubs. This person was neither Shen Tu Yi nor Shangguan Peng. Instead, it was the scheming Shen Tu Shui who had already thought of a way to deal with the situation. Chapter 56. Shen Tu Shui, were you also involved in the assassination of Qingfeng? Elder Lu's face sank as he looked at Shen Tu Shui with a burning gaze and asked in a dignified manner. Assassination? Shen Tu Shui pretended to be surprised and said, Elder Lu, are you mistaken? I did indeed exchange blows with junior brother Yi, but that was my mission. How can you call it an assassination? Is that so? Elder Lu asked in a low voice. Then let me ask you, where are Shangguan Peng and Shen Tu Yi? Were they not with you? No, I did not meet them in the Purple Cloud Mountains. Shen Tu Shui shook his head and said, Shen Tu Shui, I advise you not to lie to me. If not, even if the Shen Tu family clan appears, they will not be able to protect you. Elder Lu warned coldly. Elder Lu, please believe me. There really was a reason why I exchanged blows with junior brother Yi. Shen Tu Shui loudly defended himself. Shen Tu Shui, you keep saying that there was a reason. What is the reason? Elder Yu asked from the side. Because I accidentally discovered that junior brother Yi knows the middle spirit rank soul skill, Soul Shaking Finger, which is never taught to outsiders. Furthermore, he has cultivated it to the large success stage. Therefore, I wanted to capture him and investigate this matter. Shen Tu Shui respectfully reported. Yi Chunfeng, let me ask you, did Shen Tu Shui wrongly accuse you? Do you know my martial house's soul-shaking finger? Elder Yu's eyes revealed a stern look as he loudly questioned. Elder Lu, who was standing at the side, also frowned. He didn't expect such a turn of events. The Heavenly Fire Martial House had strict control over soul techniques and soul skills. They did not allow disciples to privately teach them to outsiders. Those who violated the rules would not only be expelled from the Heavenly Fire Martial House, they would also be severely punished. If what Shen Tu Shui said was true, then the consequences would be very serious. Yi Chunfeng, who had recovered from his injuries, stood up from the ground and slowly said, This frightening soul finger was a spoil of war I obtained from a Sky Fire Martial House senior when I defeated him in the Purple Cloud Mountains. However, I have already cultivated the frightening soul finger to the large success stage, so I returned the soul skill scroll to him. Impudent! Elder Yu's expression darkened as he shouted, Yi Chunfeng, you still dare to deceive us at this time. Do you believe that I won't punish you severely right now? Elder, may I know what crime I have committed? Why did you punish me so severely? Yi Chunfeng could not understand how he had offended Elder Yu. Why was he so against him? You're still playing dumb. Elder Yu's face was gloomy as he questioned, Let me ask you, how long did you spend cultivating the frightening soul finger? More than an hour, Yi Chunfeng said frankly. Bullshit. Mastering frightening finger to the mastery stage in 1 hour? Do you think we're all fools? Elder Yu rebuked angrily. Even the top geniuses of the Sky Fire Martial House wouldn't be able to reach the large success stage of the frightening spirit finger within an hour, not to mention Yi Chunfeng, who didn't seem to have any amazing results. If you don't believe me, you can find that senior and ask him. Then you'll know if I'm lying or not. Yi Chunfeng said indifferently, without a trace of panic on his face. No need to go through so much trouble. I'll give you a scroll of the mid-grade spirit rank soul skill, Blood Serpent Seal. You can cultivate it in front of us. If you can cultivate the blood serpent seal to the large success stage in 2 hours, not only will I believe you, I'll also give you the reward you deserve. But if you can't do it, then don't blame me for being impolite. Elder Yu said coldly as he took out the blood serpent seal scroll. Elder Yu, this blood serpent seal may only have one move, but its power and cultivation difficulty is comparable to a high-grade spirit rank soul skill. The difficulty of your test is too high. Elder Lu said with furrowed brows. Elder Lu, do you still believe his nonsense at a time like this? Elder Yu snorted and said, cultivate the frightening soul finger to the large success stage in 1 hour? Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue when you talk big? How about this, Elder Yu? If I can cultivate the blood serpent seal in 2 hours, you'll reward me with 2 more Juku spirit pills. If I can't do it, I'll be at your disposal. Although Yi Chunfeng could tell from Elder Lu's words that the blood serpent seal was far more difficult than the frightening soul finger, he was still full of confidence in the soul-devouring brain. And looking at Yi Chunfeng's confident face, the mocking smile on Elder Yu's face instantly froze. What? Elder Yu, you don't dare? Yi Chunfeng said with a smile. Since Elder Yu didn't care about his status and went against him, Yi Chunfeng didn't have any misgivings. As for Elder Yu's revenge in the future, he wasn't worried. As long as he displayed astonishing talent and became the focus of the Heavenly Fire Martial House, Elder Yu wouldn't dare to take revenge on him. All right, I promise you. When he thought about how, with his talent and strength, it took him more than 10 days to cultivate the blood serpent seal to the great accomplishment realm, he did not believe that Yi Chunfeng could cultivate the blood serpent seal to the great accomplishment realm in 2 hours, so he immediately agreed. Chunfeng, are you sure? Elder Lu asked in surprise when he heard Yi Chunfeng's suggestion. It should be about right. After saying that, Yi Chunfeng took the blood serpent seal scroll from Elder Yu's hands. He sat cross-legged on the ground and said, I'll have to trouble Elder Lu to protect me. Don't worry, with I here, no one will disturb you. Elder Lu nodded and guaranteed. Thank you. Yi Chunfeng responded to Elder Lu with a grateful smile. He released his soul power into the scroll and quickly memorized it. Yi Chunfeng, I don't know if you're really stupid or just pretending to be stupid. You actually dared to make such a bet with Elder Yu. With Elder Yu's methods, he will definitely make you regret being born into this world. Shin Tu Shui looked at Yi Chunfeng with schadenfreude. He could already foresee his tragic fate. Time passed minute by minute. After about half an hour, Shangguan Peng and Shin Tu Yi arrived one after another. After another hour, Feng Xiaoxiao, Ji Qingxue, and Shin Tu Bing also successfully passed through the Purple Cloud Mountains and arrived at the outskirts of the Heavenly Fire Martial House. When they heard about Yi Chunfeng's ridiculous actions from Shin Tu Shui, other than Ji Qingxue, the rest of them revealed looks of ridicule. They didn't believe that he could cultivate a mid-grade spirit rank soul skill in 2 hours. There was still an incense stick's worth of time left before the 2 hours were up. Suddenly, Yi Chunfeng, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, opened his eyes. His hands were like lotuses as they quickly formed complicated hand seals. As the hand seals were formed, Yi Chunfeng's soul power crazily surged into his hands, causing ripples to appear in the air. In the next moment, a lifelike blood snake appeared in Yi Chunfeng's palm. As the hand seals were formed, it grew bigger and bigger. What? Seeing the blood snake condensed in Yi Chunfeng's palm, Elder Lu, Elder Yu, Shin Tu Shui, and the rest all opened their eyes and mouths wide. It was as if they had seen a ghost. Blood snake seal. Although Yi Chunfeng was a little rusty at forming the seal for the first time, he still successfully formed the seal and sent it out with force. Rumble, the blood snake instantly turned into an extremely powerful blood seal. It dragged a long blood tail and smashed into a hard boulder in the distance. It instantly shattered the boulder and smashed a large crater in the ground. Monster, this Yi Chunfeng is a monster. Chapter 57. Many thanks to Elder Yu for giving me the blood serpent seal. Looking at the flabbergasted elder Yi Chunfeng spat out a mouthful of turbid air and deliberately said, "I am very satisfied with this power. With the power of the blood serpent seal, its value definitely surpassed that of the frightening soul finger. Even if the heavenly fire martial house's older disciples wanted to exchange for it in the spirit skill pavilion, they would have to pay a hefty price." However, not only did Yi Chunfeng not pay any price to learn the blood serpent seal, he also won 2 priceless 9th rank 9 Chu spirit pills from Elder Yu in front of everyone. This was undoubtedly a public slap to Elder Yu's face. "Yi Chunfeng, answer me honestly. Have you ever cultivated the blood serpent seal?" Elder Yu took a deep breath and suppressed the shock and anger in his heart as he asked in a low voice. "No." Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said, "If Elder Yu doesn't believe me, you can give me another spirit rank mid-grade soul skill to test me. Actually, a spirit rank high-grade soul skill is also fine." Yi Chunfeng paused for a moment before saying, Elder Yu was rendered speechless by Yi Chunfeng. A spirit rank high-grade soul skill was extremely precious. Even if he was an elder of the Heavenly Fire Martial House, he could only memorize it in the Spirit Skill Pavilion and was unable to bring it out. "Chingfeng, how did you do it? How can you cultivate a soul skill so quickly?" At this moment, Elder Lu still couldn't believe that Yi Chunfeng had only used 2 hours to cultivate the blood serpent seal. "I don't know either. Every time I concentrate on cultivating, it's very easy for me to enter a mysterious state. Very quickly, I'm able to comprehend the essence of a soul skill." Yi Chunfeng explained what he had thought of long ago. Could it be that Yi Chunfeng has just entered the Netherworld concept? Elder Lu guessed in his heart. The Netherworld concept was an extremely mysterious concept. Once one entered it, one's cultivation speed would greatly increase. However, many people were unable to enter the Netherworld concept even once in their lifetime. Genius, an absolute genius. Chingfeng, your talent is the highest I have ever seen. Even in the Heavenly Fire sect, it would be difficult to find someone with your talent. You deserve to be first in this assessment. Elder Lu said excitedly, not concealing his admiration for Yi Chunfeng. "Elder Lu, since I have proven my innocence, can we talk about Shin Tu Ye's group's assassination of me and Wen Feihong?" Yi Chunfeng said coldly as he looked at Shangguan Peng, Shin Tu Shui and Shin Tu Yi, whose expressions were ugly. When they saw Yi Chunfeng's murderous gaze, the hearts of Shin Tu Yi and the other 2 trembled. After witnessing Yi Chunfeng's monstrous talent, the 3 of them finally felt fear. As long as Yi Chunfeng was given time, Shingu Shui and the others believed that he would grow to a level that they could only look up to. If he wanted to crush them, it would be as easy as crushing an ant. "Don't worry, if what you said is true, my Heavenly Fire Martial House will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation." Elder Lu nodded and repeatedly promised. "Yi Chunfeng, don't slander us. When did we kill you and Wen Feihong? If you have the ability, call Wen Feihong out and confront him on the spot." Shin Tu Yi took a deep breath and suppressed the fear in his heart as he loudly reprimanded. "I am indeed unable to call Wen Feihong out because he has already been cruelly killed by you," Yi Chunfeng said in a low voice as he calmly looked at Shingu Yi and the others. "Wen Feihong is dead." After hearing this news, the most shocked person was Ji Qingxue, who knew some inside information. Her gaze towards Yi Chunfeng changed greatly. "Yi Chunfeng, although I don't know why you're trying to frame us on purpose, please take out the evidence before you frame us. Otherwise, don't slander us here and frame us," Shangguan Peng said with an ugly expression. "Since you want evidence, I'll fulfill your wish." As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng took out the memory stone that Ji Qingxue had given him and said, "I've secretly recorded the matter of you killing Wen Feihong and trying to kill me. I'm not afraid that you won't admit to it." Seeing the memory stone in Yi Chunfeng's hand, Shingu Shui, Shingu Yi, and Shangguan Peng's expressions changed greatly. Among them, Shingu Yi, who had the weakest will, had large amounts of cold sweat on his forehead as he panicked. Why aren't you speaking? Seeing the three's pale faces, Yi Chunfeng said with a smile, Didn't you say that I was slandering you? Why are you afraid now? The three of you sure are audacious. Tell me the truth. If you continue to hide the truth, I'll kill you. Seeing the change in their expressions, Elder Lu's face sank. A powerful, baleful aura radiated from his body as he shouted loudly. Junior Yi, we know our wrongs. Please be magnanimous and spare us. As long as Junior Yi agrees, we're willing to spend an astronomical price to buy the memory stone in Junior Ye's hand to make up for our mistakes. Just as the situation became unprecedentedly tense and Elder Lu wanted to use torture to extort a confession, Shingu Shui suppressed his voice into a line and transmitted it into Yi Chunfeng's ears. Astronomical price? What is this astronomical price you speak of? Yi Chunfeng's eyebrows twitched slightly as he became slightly interested. He transmitted his voice in response. 500 low-grade soul crystals. Shingu Shui clenched his teeth and transmitted his voice. This is the astronomical price you speak of? Don't make a fool of yourself. Yi Chunfeng sneered as he transmitted his voice. Then what do you want? Shingu Shui had never felt so aggrieved before. However, when he thought of the consequences of this matter, he could only grit his teeth and swallow it, allowing Yi Chunfeng to blackmail him. 2,000 low-grade soul crystals, a heaven and earth spirit herb that can replenish blood, as well as a cosmic bag. Yi Chunfeng demanded an exorbitant price. No, I cannot satisfy your conditions with my own ability. Shingu Shui transmitted his voice in annoyance. If that's the case, then forget it. Elder Lu, I wonder if you can pass the memory stone in my hand to Lord Prefecture Lord and get him to uphold justice for us. Yi Chunfeng said. Wait, I promise you. Shingu Shui transmitted his voice weakly. If he really alarmed the Prefecture Lord, then even if the Shingu family clan stepped in, they would not be able to protect them. I don't like to take credit. If you can't give it to me immediately, then don't blame me for not giving you a chance. Yi Chunfeng transmitted his voice as he warned coldly. I know. Shingu Shui nodded his head heavily as he replied. Qingfeng, give me the memory stone in your hand. Elder Lu demanded. Elder Lu, if the three of them are willing to sincerely apologize to me and compensate me with something, then I can spare them. Yi Chunfeng's tone changed as he said slowly. That's right, Elder Lu. The three of them were probably muddle-headed for a moment. As long as Yi Chunfeng is willing to forgive them, it's not impossible to give them a chance to turn over a new leaf. Elder Yu saw that the situation had taken a turn for the better, so he echoed from the side. Then what about Wen Feihong's revenge? Elder Lu said with a serious expression. As for Wen Feihong's matter, I think it's better for the Shingu family clan, the Shangguan family clan and the Wen family to negotiate. I believe the two family clans will give the Wen family an explanation. Elder Yu said. Qingfeng, don't have any burdens in your heart. Tell me honestly, are you really willing to give them a chance to turn over a new leaf? Elder Lu asked again, seeking his opinion. Before the assessment, I had made a bet with Shingu Yi and Shangguan Peng. If my results were better than theirs, they would give me the reward. If they are willing to fulfill their promise, Elder Yu will give me the 2 Juku spirit pills that he lost to me. Together with the conditions that he just agreed to, I will forgive them and guarantee that I will not pursue this matter in the future. Yi Chunfeng said with a nod. You, hearing that Yi Chunfeng really dared to ask for 2 Juku spirit pills from him, Elder Yu's face turned ashen. However, in front of so many people, he was indeed embarrassed to go back on his word. Chapter 58. Elder Yu, can you lend me 1,500 low-grade soul crystals? Shintu Shui glanced at Elder Yu, who was on the verge of going berserk, and braced himself to ask. Shintu Shui, what do you want so many low-grade soul crystals for? Elder Yu roared with a gloomy expression. Although he was an elder of the Sky Fire Martial House and had a monthly supply of soul crystals, 1,500 low-grade soul crystals was not a small amount. He was unable to take it out in a short period of time. I agree to compensate Yi Chunfeng with 2,000 low-grade soul crystals. Shintu Shui clenched his teeth and said, 2,000 low-grade soul crystals. Elder Yu sucked in a breath of cold air and said, Brat, you are too ruthless. Ruthless? 2,000 low-grade soul crystals for 3 lives. I wonder if this deal is worth it. Yi Chunfeng said indifferently. Elder Yu, if you are willing to lend me 1,500 low-grade soul crystals, I promise to return you 1,600 within 3 days. After being caught by Yi Chunfeng, the sullen Shintu Shui had no choice but to compromise. No, I don't have a single one. Elder Yu felt that he was extremely unlucky. Not only did he offend a genius with boundless potential for no reason, he also lost 2 priceless 9 Chu spirit pills for no reason. Now, Shintu Shui was asking to borrow soul crystals to compensate Yi Chunfeng in front of so many people. This made Elder Yu so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He immediately refused. Shintu Shui, my patience is limited. If you can't take out the promised conditions, then don't blame me for not giving you a chance. Yi Chunfeng said indifferently as he looked at the sullen Shintu Shui, whose face was green and red. Give me an hour. I will return to the Sky Fire Marshal House to borrow. Shintu Shui clenched his teeth and said, All right, then I will give you an hour. If you are not back in an hour, then I won't be polite. Yi Chunfeng warned coldly. I will definitely be back. After saying that, the ashen-faced Shintu Shui flashed and disappeared under the setting sun. Elder Yu, can you give me those 2 Joku spiritual pills? As he watched Shintu Shui's departing figure, the corners of Yi Chunfeng's mouth slightly curled as a trace of coldness surfaced. He cast his gaze towards Elder Yu, whose expression was ugly, and said, Good, good, good. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Elder Yu couldn't act shamelessly. What's more, he was afraid of Yi Chunfeng's talent. In desperation, he could only reluctantly give the 2 Joku spirit pills that he had kept for many years to Yi Chunfeng. Opening the jade box containing the Joku spirit pills, Yi Chunfeng only felt a refreshing medicinal fragrance coming from the 2 longan-sized, milky white Joku spirit pills, which made him take a deep breath and feel refreshed. As expected of a 9th-grade medicinal pill, just the medicinal aroma alone is enough to lift one's spirit. If I consume it, it can at least raise my cultivation by 1 level. Yi Chunfeng kept the 2 Joku spirit pills close to his body. Looking at the gloomy Elder Yu, he said, Thank you for the medicine, Elder Yu. Elder Lu, there's nothing else for I to do here. I'll take my leave first. Elder Yu, whose heart was filled with anger, felt that if he stayed any longer, he might vomit blood because of Yi Chunfeng. He flicked his sleeves and left. Chingfeng, you have the best results in the Sky Fire Marshal House's assessment. This Joku spirit pill is your reward. After Elder Yu left, Elder Lu began to distribute the rewards and gave Yi Chunfeng another Joku spirit pill. Shangguan Peng, Shintu Yi, you are the 2nd and 3rd place finishers in the Sky Fire Marshal House's assessment. This is your reward, the Earth Spirit Pill, White Jade Scarlet Sun Pill. After rewarding Yi Chunfeng, Elder Lu rewarded Shangguan Peng and Shintu Yi respectively. Shangguan Peng, Shintu Yi, the rewards in your hands should be mine, right? Just as Shangguan Peng and Shintu Yi received their rewards, Yi Chunfeng's voice rang in their ears before their hands were even warm. Here you go. Regardless of whether Yi Chunfeng had something on them or Elder Lu as a witness, they did not dare to go back on their word. Left with no other choice, the 2 of them reluctantly handed over the 2 precious rank 8 medicinal pills to Yi Chunfeng. 3 9th-ranked Dawn and 2 8th-ranked Dawn. This kind of harvest made everyone's eyes turn red with envy. They were so jealous that they wanted to die. Yi Chunfeng, he really changed. Looking at the tall and straight figure of Yi Chunfeng, who seemed to have been reborn, Ji Qingxue suddenly realized that she didn't recognize him anymore. Feng Xiaoxiao, Ji Qingxue, Shintu Bing, You are the 4th to 6th place finishers in the Sky Fire Martial House's assessment. This is your reward. After rewarding the top 3 finishers, Elder Lu rewarded Ji Qingxue and the other 2. Alright, I now announce that the 6 of you are officially disciples of the Sky Fire Martial House. Once Yi Chunfeng's matter is settled, you will follow me into the Martial House and complete the formalities. In the future, you will be able to cultivate in the Sky Fire Martial House. Elder Lu announced. Hearing Elder Lu's words, Feng Xiaoxiao and Ji Qingxue were slightly excited. Beside them, Shen Tubing was trembling in fear. She regretted provoking Yi Chunfeng. Time slowly passed. Seeing that 1 hour was almost up, the gloomy Shen Tuxue finally returned. Yi Chunfeng, I've brought you the things you wanted. However, before I give you the things, you must promise me that this matter will end here, and that you will not mention it again in the future. Furthermore, you must give me the memory stone in your hands. The much more haggard Shen Tuxue said coldly. In order to gather the things Yi Chunfeng wanted within an hour, he had paid an unimaginable price. It could be said that for the next few years, he would have to sell his life to someone else. Alright, I promise you. After you give me the item, this matter will be over. In the future, if any one of us mentions this matter again, we will be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Yi Chunfeng nodded and swore in front of everyone. I'll give you the things, but give me the memory stone. Hearing Yi Chunfeng swear in front of everyone, the coldness on Shen Tuxue's face eased a little. He threw the Qianquan bag in his hand to Yi Chunfeng in exchange for the memory stone in his hand. That's right, Shen Tuxue. Before I leave, I have to tell you something. Yi Chunfeng placed the Qianquan bag in his chest and called out to Shen Tuxue, who was about to leave. He said, Actually, I lied to you. I did not use the memory stone to remember how you tried to kill me and Wen Feihong. What? Just as Yi Chunfeng finished speaking, Shen Tuxue and the other 2's expressions changed greatly. Shen Tuxue hurriedly checked the memory stone and discovered that it was as Yi Chunfeng had said. There were no scenes in the memory stone. I've discovered that you guys are really stupid. In that kind of situation just now, did you think that I had the time to use the memory stone? Yi Chunfeng looked at the 3's furious faces and asked in return. Yi Chunfeng, you dare trick me. Knowing that he had been tricked, Shen Tuxue could not suppress the fury in his heart. He was like an enraged lion as he roared at Yi Chunfeng. As for Shangguan Peng and Shen Tuyi, they had also been driven mad by the truth. They gnashed their teeth as they looked at Yi Chunfeng, wishing they could cut him into pieces. Alright, don't be so angry. It won't be good if something happens to you guys. Yi Chunfeng looked at the 3 furious people and said indifferently. Thinking of the price he had to pay for this, an unbearable sense of humiliation instantly spread through Shen Tuxue's heart. The humiliation that he had never felt before pierced his heart deeply, driving him mad. It made him furious, and it made him almost lose his reason. His fury reached its peak. The crazed Shen Tuxue tasted something sweet in his throat, and a mouthful of blood sprayed out from his mouth. Chapter 59. The night was like water. The gentle moonlight shone down, enveloping the entire Zijin imperial city in silence. On the night of the Sky Fire Martial House's assessment, Yi Chunfeng and the rest's results were spread throughout Zijin imperial city. The conflict between Yi Chunfeng and Shen Tuxue and the other 2, as well as his monstrous talent, was intentionally concealed by the Sky Fire Martial House. Very few people in the outside world knew about this. In the Yi family's old residence, Father, the results of the Sky Fire Martial House's assessment are out. Yi Hai, who had gone to gather information, hurriedly returned to the Yi family's old residence. Did Yi Chunfeng pass the Sky Fire Martial House's assessment? Yi Qingchuan, who was drinking tea in the study, quickly placed the teacup on the table and asked. Yi Chunfeng did not disappoint our expectations. He ranked first in all 3 rounds of assessment and successfully became a disciple of the Sky Fire Martial House. Even the strict elder Lu was full of praise for him. Yi Hai told the Yi family's patriarch, Yi Qingchuan, about the news he had gathered. First in all 3 rounds. Although Yi Qingchuan had overestimated Yi Chunfeng, he was still shocked when he heard his final result. Looking at Yi Qingchuan's shocked expression, Yi Hai revealed a bitter smile. When he first found out about Yi Chunfeng's results, his reaction was the same as Yi Qingchuan's. It had been more than 30 years since a disciple of the Zijin kingdom defeated a disciple of an ancient martial family and obtained first place in the Sky Fire Martial House's assessment. Sigh, it seems like we were wrong. This Yi Chunfeng is a hidden dragon. I'm afraid that our Yi family has lost our only chance to rise. After finding out about Yi Chunfeng's stunning results, Yi Qingchuan sighed deeply. His words were filled with self-blame and regret. Father, why don't you talk to Yi Chunfeng? Maybe he will return to the Yi family on account of Big Brother. Yi Hai looked at Yi Qingchuan, who was blaming himself, and asked, Sigh, all right. We will think of a way to invite Yi Chunfeng out. Hopefully, he will return on account of Xuanxiang. Yi Qingchuan nodded and said, the Yi family was regretting because of Yi Chunfeng's amazing results. The number 1 family in the Zijin kingdom, the Jiang family, was feeling uneasy because of Yi Chunfeng's heaven-defying results. I didn't expect that little bastard to have hidden himself so deeply. I have to think of a way to get rid of him. Otherwise, when he grows up, I'm afraid he will become a huge threat to my Jiang family. The head of the Jiang family, Jiang Zhongxiong, lightly tapped his finger on the octagonal table beside him and said with a gloomy expression, Father, are you afraid that Yi Chunfeng will take revenge on our Jiang family after finding out the cause of Yi Xuanxiang's death? Jiang Zhongxiong's eldest son, Jiang Xiu, asked. That's right. Although Yi Chunfeng doesn't have much affection for the Yi clan, he was brought up by Yi Xuanxiang. If he finds out that Yi Xuanxiang was poisoned by us, the consequences will be dire, Jiang Zhongxiong said with a grave expression. Grandpa, there's no need to worry about the threat that Yi Chunfeng poses. Someone will deal with him. Just when the atmosphere in the Jiang family's main hall was a little tense, Jiang Yijuan, who had brought the news back from the Sky Fire Martial House, spoke up. Yijuan, who will help us deal with Yi Chunfeng? Jiang Zhongxiong's snow-white eyebrows twitched as he asked. The Shen Tu family clan and the Shangguan family clan, Jiang Yijuan said. Why? Did Yi Chunfeng offend 2 big ancient martial arts families? Jiang Zhongxiong said with some surprise. Although the Jiang family was the number 1 family in the Zijin kingdom, the Jiang family was far inferior to the 2 big ancient martial arts families in terms of background and overall strength. Yes, I heard that when Yi Chunfeng passed through the Purple Cloud Mountains, he had an intense conflict with Shin Tu Shui, Shin Tu Yi and Shangguan Peng. In the end, it even alarmed the Sky Fire Martial House's elders. Jiang Yijuan nodded his head and told them the news he had heard. However, because Shin Tu Shui and the rest had intentionally concealed the truth about killing Yi Chunfeng and Wen Feihong, the news that Jiang Yijuan knew was a little one-sided. If that's really the case, then that's great. Once the 2 big families join forces to deal with Yi Chunfeng, that kid will definitely die. Jiang Zhongxiong revealed a relieved smile as he slowly said, Yijuan, when you return to the Sky Fire Martial House, pay more attention to Yi Chunfeng. If there's a chance, kill him to prevent future troubles. Jiang Zhongxiong said viciously. Don't worry, grandfather, I know what to do. Jiang Yijuan nodded his head and said. Just as the Sky Fire Martial House's assessment ended and various parties were making their moves, Yi Chunfeng and the other 5 completed the procedures to enter the Martial House under Elder Lu's arrangements. They obtained their own identity tokens and officially became disciples of the Sky Fire Martial House. As for the burly man that was killed by Yi Chunfeng, because of the conflict earlier, no one paid attention to him. This made Ji Qingshue's anxious heart relax. These 6 courtyards will be your living quarters from now on. Qingfeng, you have the best results in this assessment, so you can choose your residence first. Elder Lu took a map of the Sky Fire Marshal House that was filled with markings and pointed to the 6 empty courtyards. I'll choose this one. Yi Chunfeng liked peace and quiet, so he took a liking to it at first glance. It was built on the edge of a cliff, and was in a relatively remote location. After Yi Chunfeng finished choosing, Shang Guanping, Shintu Shui and the rest each chose their own courtyards. These 6 array flags are for you. You only need to insert them into the center of the array in the courtyard, and it will activate the array patterns in the courtyard. This way, you won't have to worry about being disturbed when you cultivate. These are the Sky Fire Marshal House's unique martial robes. These martial robes are made from ice silk and gold silk. After wearing them, you will be able to avoid hundreds of insects, poisonous miasma, and be invulnerable to swords and spears. Also, 30 low-grade soul crystals are for you. You can use these soul crystals to select soul techniques and soul skills from the Spirit Skill Pavilion. You can also cultivate in the Spirit Gathering Array. However, after the low-grade soul crystals are used up, you will need to think of ways to earn more. If you want to earn more soul crystals, this jade slip will give you a detailed introduction. Alright, it's getting late. You should return to your courtyards to rest. I hope to see your names on the Sky Fire Marshal ranking in the future. Thank you, Elder Lu. After Yi Chunfeng and the rest put away the resources given to them by Elder Lu, they followed the directions on the map and went to their respective residences. Yi Chunfeng, just you wait. My Shintu family clan will definitely not let you off. Seeing Yi Chunfeng's departing figure, Shintu Yi, who had been played by Yi Chunfeng and suffered a great loss, swore in his heart. His eyes flashed with an ominous glint. What a beautiful courtyard! Arriving at his own courtyard, Yi Chunfeng's eyes lit up. He never thought that the Sky Fire Marshal House's living conditions would be so good. The walls were made of lapis lazuli and were inlaid with luminous pearls. In the courtyard there were pavilions and terraces. The green bamboo swayed with the wind, and in a clear pond, small fish swam happily. When Yi Chunfeng inserted the array flags into the center of the array, he could clearly feel the surrounding spiritual energy being attracted and slowly flowing into the courtyard. In less than half an incense stick's worth of time, the courtyard was filled with spiritual energy. It was like a fairyland. No wonder the disciples of the large families are racking their brains to enter the Sky Fire Marshal House to cultivate. Just the cultivation environment here is much better than the outside world. Chapter 60. Marshal House Rules. As his soul power seeped into the jade slip, Yi Chunfeng first saw the rules of the Sky Fire Marshal House. However, the rules were only useful to the weak, so he quickly skimmed through them before continuing to read. Following that, a detailed topographic map of the Sky Fire Marshal House appeared before his eyes. The map clearly marked out the 8 special areas of the Marshal House. They were the Divine Weapon Pavilion, Spirit Skill Pavilion, Elixir Hall, Gravity Cave, Spiritual Kitchen, Spirit Gathering Array, Arena, Mission Block, and Heavenly Soul Array. These 7 special areas were the foundation of the Sky Fire Marshal House. They were the key to producing a large number of Earth Beast Generals. However, to use these 7 special areas to increase one's strength, one had to pay a certain amount of low-grade soul crystals. This was why low-grade soul crystals were in high demand in the Sky Fire Marshal House. I wonder how long 2,000 low-grade soul crystals will last me. After browsing through the jade slip, Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. Although 2,000 low-grade soul crystals was not a small amount, Yi Chunfeng knew that it was far from enough to cover his expenses in the Sky Fire Marshal House. Other than cultivating, he had to think of ways to earn low-grade soul crystals. The Heavenly Soul Array, Arena, and Mission Block were the 3 ways to earn low-grade soul crystals. Among them, Yi Chunfeng was very interested in the Heavenly Soul Array. The Heavenly Soul Array was divided into 9 layers of arrays. Each layer of array space had different levels of enemies to test. Every time one broke through an array, The heavenly soul array would reward different amounts of points based on the number and level of enemies killed. Those with high points would have the opportunity to enter the Sky Fire Marshal ranking mentioned by Elder Lu. Once one became an expert on the Sky Fire Marshal ranking, one would not need to do missions every month and would be rewarded with a certain amount of low-grade soul crystals. If one was in the top 10 of the Sky Fire Marshal ranking, the monthly reward would be enough to make the Sky Fire Marshal House elders jealous. However, the Sky Fire Marshal ranking was limited. Only the top 50 could enter the ranking, so the competition was very intense. Those disciples who could not enter the ranking could only go to the mission block to accept missions or gamble with others in the arena to earn low-grade soul crystals. However, whether it was the Heavenly Soul Array, arena, or mission block, one had to rely on strength. If one did not have enough strength, cultivating in the Sky Fire Marshal House would not only hit a wall, they would also be bullied. I wonder if I can make it onto the Heavenly Fire Marshal ranking if I replenish all the qi and blood in my body. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. He decided to first refine and absorb the blood coral he extorted from Shintu Shui, then refine and absorb the white jade crimson sun pill he won to replenish the vital energy and blood in his body. The night was getting darker. Under the cover of the formation, the courtyard was quiet. After bathing and changing his clothes, Yi Chunfeng adjusted himself to his best condition. He took out the Qiankuan pouch he had used to extort Shin Tu Shui, and took out the blood coral he had placed inside. The quality of this blood coral is not bad. Although Yi Chunfeng felt that the amount of blood contained in the blood coral was far less than that of the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king, it was still a treasure that could replenish blood and qi. If he refined it, he should be able to replenish around 80% of the blood and qi in his body. Yi Chunfeng pressed one hand on the blood coral and closed his eyes. He released a strand of soul thread into the blood coral. With a wung sound, the blood-red blood coral that had no luster on its surface was stimulated by the soul thread and suddenly trembled. Rays of blood-red light shot out from the blood coral, illuminating the entire room in a blood-red color. It was extremely strange. Devour. Seeing the power of blood and qi in the blood coral being activated, Yi Chunfeng immediately circulated the soul-devouring art at high speed. He devoured the power of blood and qi in the blood coral and channeled it into his crisscrossing meridians. It flowed throughout his body, replenishing the missing power of blood and qi in his body. As the power of blood and qi in his body increased, Yi Chunfeng's cells became active, constantly fusing with the power of blood and qi. His skin became redder and redder, as if blood would seep out with a light press. Compared to the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng king, the power of blood and qi in the blood coral was much milder. In addition, Yi Chunfeng had broken through to the realm of a Grade 1 beast illusion master. His body's endurance had increased by several folds. During the process of refining the blood coral, he basically did not feel any pain. Time passed by slowly. Yi Chunfeng circulated the soul-devouring art and sat cross-legged on his bed to cultivate until dawn. Suddenly, a crisp cracking sound rang out. The blood-red color quickly faded and the cracked blood coral turned into powder. After absorbing the power of the blood coral, Yi Chunfeng felt that his strength had increased by 20%. The power of blood and qi in his body had recovered by nearly 80%. His pure physical strength had increased from 800 jin to 11,000 jin. Yi Chunfeng looked out the window and saw that the sun had risen. He did not continue cultivating and simply stretched his body. He took a bath and left the secluded courtyard. According to the map, he went to the spiritual kitchen to eat. There are indeed many experts in the Heavenly Fire Marshal House. Along the way, Yi Chunfeng met many disciples of the Heavenly Fire Marshal House. All of them had one thing in common, which was that they were all at a higher realm than a beast illusion master. Moreover, their auras were very vigorous. Spiritual kitchen, it's here. As he walked, Yi Chunfeng saw a huge building that looked like a pavilion from afar. There was a huge signboard hanging from the building. On the signboard, there were 3 words written in flamboyant calligraphy: Spiritual Kitchen. 1,000-year-old oolong wood. Walking into the spiritual kitchen, Yi Chunfeng was immediately attracted by the wooden tables and chairs. These tables and chairs were all made from the 1,000-year-old oolong wood, which was worth as much as gold. In the kingdom of Zijin, a table and chair made from 1,000-year-old oolong wood would cost more than 300,000 taels of silver. But here, it was casually placed as an ordinary table and chair. Yi Chunfeng found a table near the window. Just as he sat down, a human-shaped puppet came in front of him with a menu. When Yi Chunfeng saw the dishes on the menu, he was slightly speechless. Many of the dishes were made from the flesh of vicious beasts mixed with rare herbs. The price was also ridiculously expensive. One of the most expensive dishes was the blood snake and blackbird soup. It was brewed using spirit beasts, blood snakes, blackbirds, and dozens of precious herbs. It cost more than 50 low-grade soul crystals. An ordinary person couldn't afford it. Even if Yi Chunfeng had more than 2,000 low-grade soul crystals, he would not dare to eat so extravagantly. He only ordered 1 dish and 1 soup, which cost him 8 low-grade soul crystals. No wonder these dishes are so expensive. There is a reason for it. Yi Chunfeng took a bite of the dish made from vicious beast meat. He immediately felt the fragrance in his mouth. A warm current flowed down his throat and into his meridians, nourishing his body and stabilizing his realm. Following that, he drank a mouthful of the soup made from the blood and tendons of vicious beasts. He also felt the pure spiritual energy flowing into his body, slightly increasing the blood and qi in his cells. Chapter 61. Yo, this year's new students are indeed rich. They just entered the Sky Fire Martial House, and already came to the spiritual kitchen for a meal. How rich! Just as Yi Chunfeng was eating with relish and the warm current was nourishing his body, a sarcastic voice entered his ears. 2 seniors wearing dark gray long robes walked in with great vigor. They were level 3 beast illusionists, and their auras were vigorous. They came to the spiritual kitchen and looked at Yi Chunfeng with hostility. Feeling the hostility in their eyes, Yi Chunfeng guessed that they must have been instigated by someone to deliberately find trouble with him. And the instigator was most likely Shintu Shui. However, the Sky Fire Martial House strictly forbade private fight. If the 2 parties wanted to resolve the conflict by force, they had to go to the arena. Otherwise, if the Sky Fire Martial House's elders found out, they would be severely punished. Kid, I heard you have a lot of soul crystals. How about it? Treat us brothers to a meal. If you serve us well, we will protect you in the future. Seeing that Yi Chunfeng was ignoring them, the 2 were not angry. They directly walked in front of Yi Chunfeng and looked down at him, provoking him. If you want me to treat you to a meal in the spiritual kitchen, that will depend on whether you have the ability. Yi Chunfeng put down the chopsticks in his hand and looked at the 2 calmly. Arrogant indeed. The Chinaman was so angry that he laughed. He looked at Yi Chunfeng with contempt and said, "What, you want to challenge us?" "That's right. Do you dare to accept my challenge?" Yi Chunfeng asked coldly. Although Yi Chunfeng had not broken through after refining and absorbing the blood coral, he had replenished the blood qi in his body to nearly 80%. His physical strength alone exceeded 10,000 jin. Coupled with the blood serpent seal that he had comprehended, he could completely crush a level 3 beast illusionist. Haha, did I hear wrongly? The 2 senior students were startled. They revealed a mocking smile and said, "This kid dares to challenge us. If you agree, we will go to the Great Soul Arena. If you don't, then scram as far as you can. Don't be an eyesore in front of me," Yi Chunfeng said coldly. The 2 older students did not expect Yi Chunfeng to be so arrogant. Their faces darkened as they spoke with murderous intent. "Since you want to die, we will fulfill your wish. We don't know who will die yet." Yi Chunfeng took out 8 low-grade soul crystals from his Qiankuan bag and placed them on the table. He then walked out of the spiritual kitchen. F***ck Kong Song, I'll go first. I'm going to break his legs and make him beg for mercy like a dog. The square-faced man stared at Yi Chunfeng's back as he gritted his teeth and said, Xiong He, this kid shouldn't be simple. Be careful during the competition later. Don't fail miserably. The skinny Kong Song reminded with a glint in his eyes. Don't worry, there won't be any accidents. Xiong He was confident in his own strength. He did not believe that he would lose to Yi Chunfeng. The Great Soul Arena was the only place in the Sky Fire Martial House where disciples were allowed to fight. It was located in the northwest part of the Sky Fire Martial House, at the bottom of a steep cliff. Yi Chunfeng walked up the white jade stairs and entered the Great Soul Arena that was built like a pavilion. He discovered that there were sabers, swords, axes, spears, long spears, giant hammers, and thousands of other huge weapons around the Great Soul Arena, giving a strong visual impact. In the center of the Great Soul Arena, there were 3 arenas made of black iron. At this moment, there were 4 senior students of the Sky Fire Martial House fighting in the arenas. Many people were watching from below. Elder Jean, we want to fight. I'll have to trouble Elder Jean to open the 3rd arena. Entering the arena, Xiong He respectfully said to a white-haired old man wearing a linen robe with a strong aura. Elder Jean glanced at Yi Chunfeng and the other 2 with his turbid eyes and reminded them in a low voice, You can fight, but you can't kill. Otherwise, you will be punished according to the martial house's rules. After saying that, Elder Jean opened the restriction runes and opened the 3rd arena. Xiong He knew that Yi Chunfeng had extorted 2,000 low-grade soul crystals from Xin Tu Shui, so he maliciously suggested, Brat, isn't a simple fight too boring? Why don't we make a bet? Of course. How about we bet 2,000 low-grade soul crystals? Yi Chunfeng's lips curled up slightly as he spoke with a hint of coldness. Although Xiong He and Kong Song wanted to agree, they usually cultivated and consumed a large amount of low-grade spirit crystals. They did not have that much savings. Didn't you want to make a bet? Why are you mute now? Yi Chunfeng deliberately ridiculed them when he saw their ashen faces. We don't have that many low-grade spirit crystals, Xiong He said while grinding his teeth, guessing that Yi Chunfeng was deliberately humiliating him. Sigh. How disappointing. Then how many low-grade spirit crystals do you want to bet? If it's too little, I won't play. Yi Chunfeng sighed softly and said with flagging interest. Xiong He and Kong Song were so angry that their eyes were spitting fire. We'll bet 300 low-grade spirit crystals. Xiong He calculated his wealth and said while clenching his teeth. 300 low-grade spirit crystals. Sigh, you guys are really poor. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said with a sigh. Kid, don't be so arrogant. You'll be crying in a while. Xiong He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode when he heard Yi Chunfeng's ridicule. He wanted nothing more than to tear him apart. Are you guys ready? If you're ready, give me the wager and we can start the fight. Elder Jean looked at the unfamiliar face of Yi Chunfeng and said, I've been ready for a long time. Xiong He clenched his fists and said with a high fighting spirit. He handed over the 300 low-grade spirit crystals to Elder Jean and jumped into the arena. Well, why are you alone? Aren't you coming? Yi Chunfeng looked at Kong Song and asked. Why? Do you want to challenge both of us at the same time? Kong Song frowned and asked in surprise. The 2 of them never dreamed that Yi Chunfeng would be so arrogant. He didn't put them in his eyes at all and openly challenged them. Yes, it's too time-consuming to fight one by one. Moreover, it's not challenging. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, Well, don't talk nonsense. You 2 come at me together. I'll go back and cultivate after I finish you. Arrogant, too arrogant. Xiong He and the other man thought that they were already very arrogant normally, but they didn't expect Yi Chunfeng to be even more arrogant and savage than them. Waves of anger erupted from their chests, and their faces turned green from anger. Elder Jean, here are 600 low-grade spirit crystals. Yi Chunfeng ignored the fiery gazes of the two elders. He took out 600 low-grade soul crystals from his cosmos sack and handed them over to Elder Jean, who had a strange expression on his face. Then, he jumped onto the stage. "Since you want to die, we'll help you," Kong Song, who was burning with rage and filled with killing intent, roared. He handed over the bet to Elder Jean and leapt onto the stage. "I swear I'll make you regret this," Xiong He gritted his teeth and said. As he spoke, two soul beasts that emitted green light appeared on their bodies, and a strong pressure engulfed Yi Chunfeng. Chapter 62. Why is it him? At this time, in a corner of the Great Soul Arena, a tall man wearing a black robe noticed Yi Chunfeng and revealed a strange expression. This man was none other than the black-robed man that Yi Chunfeng had robbed when he passed through the Purple Cloud mountain range and obtained the frightening soul finger. The black-robed man shook his head and muttered to himself. He just entered the Sky Fire Martial House, and he's already challenging 2 rank 3 beast illusionists by himself. Is this kid a monster? Although Yi Chunfeng's actions seemed extremely arrogant when he thought of Yi Chunfeng's shocking talent, he didn't think highly of Xiong He and Kong Song. Under the pressure of the auras released by Xiong He and Kong Song, Yi Chunfeng's aura erupted like a volcano. He was like an evil wolf that had been lying in wait for a long time, baring its fangs and emitting killing intent. Full strength. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng's blood and qi energy erupted, causing the air around him to tremble violently. It constantly tore apart the aura released by Xiong He and Kong Song's spirit-beast fusion. What? Xiong He and the other two revealed shocked expressions when they sensed the sudden burst of power from Yi Chunfeng's body. The way they looked at Yi Chunfeng changed drastically. Never in their dreams would they have thought that Yi Chunfeng, who was only a rank 1 beast illusionist, could erupt with strength that was even more terrifying than theirs. Monster, he is indeed a monster. The black-robed man looked at Yi Chunfeng with a dumbfounded expression. He couldn't imagine that Yi Chunfeng's strength would grow so much in just one day. Let's go. After a brief moment of shock, Xiong He and Kong Song launched their attacks first. Xiong He took 8 steps to catch up to Yi Chunfeng, closing in on him with a single step. As for Kong Song, he took out a large saber with 2 offensive runes engraved on it from his cosmos bag and slashed down with a force that could split the heavens. Xiong He and Kong Song's coordination was extremely good. The two of them together could defeat a rank 4 beast illusionist genius. But they didn't know that Yi Chunfeng's physical strength surpassed that of a rank 4 beast illusionist, making up for his lack of strength. Blood Serpent Seal. Soul Breaker. Yi Chunfeng straightened his back in the face of Xiong He and the other man's joint attack. He did not dodge. Following the soul power in his body, 5,000 kilograms of strength surged into his arms. His right hand danced like an agile snake, and instantly condensed the Blood Serpent Seal, which bombarded Xiong He's soul skill at close range. Yi Chunfeng pointed at the air with his left hand, and a foot-long finger light streaked across the sky. It was aimed at the sharp blade light that Kong Song had unleashed with his soul skill. Boom boom. 2 loud sounds rang out. 4 powerful soul skills collided intensely, and streaks of resplendent soul light shot out, causing dense water ripples to appear in the air. And when did the Sky Flame Martial House produce such a genius? After witnessing Yi Chunfeng unleashing different soul skills with both hands and taking on Xiong He and Kong Song's attacks head-on, Elder Jin's emotionless face revealed a trace of astonishment. This was because to unleash 2 soul skills at the same time, not only did one need to cultivate the soul skill to an extremely high level, one also needed to multitask in an instant, controlling the soul skill within one's body to unleash 2 attacks at the same time. This was something that most people would not be able to do. Blood Serpent Seal. In just a day's time, not only did he break through his realm and increase his strength, he actually comprehended a mid-grade spirit rank soul skill and even cultivated it to the large success stage. How can there be such a monster in this world? The black-clothed man was shocked speechless by Yi Qinfeng's monstrous talent, and his entire body was numb. Shape-shifting phantom. After taking on the two soul skills head-on, Yi Qinfeng's feet flashed, and he passed through the layers of explosive aura, appearing behind Xiong He in an extremely strange manner. Not good. Feeling the danger behind him, Xiong He's heart jumped wildly, and he wanted to use 8 steps overtaking Cicada to dodge. However, at this moment, Yi Qinfeng's foot shot out a force of nearly 15,000 kilograms, which was transmitted into the ground and caused the arena made of black iron to tremble slightly, greatly affecting Xiong He's dodging speed. In the next moment, Yi Qinfeng's fist, which had compressed his strength to the extreme, smashed into Xiong He's back, shattering his body's defenses and shattering his spine. A large amount of blood sprayed out from his mouth. His entire body heavily smashed into the ground, causing the ground to buzz. Lunar Shadow Slash. When Kong Song saw that Xiong He had been injured by Yi Qinfeng, his pupils shrank. He flew into the air, holding a low-grade spirit rank long saber, and used his strongest soul skill, the mid-grade spirit rank Lunar Shadow Slash, to attack Yi Qinfeng. The Lunar Shadow Slash combined with a low-grade spirit weapon was extremely terrifying. The saber's shadow was like a crescent moon falling from the sky, cutting through layers of air. Before the attack even reached Yi Qinfeng, his skin was already in pain, and the blood in his body was roiling. The Heavenly Fire Martial House's disciples are indeed not simple. Facing Kong Song's strongest attack, Yi Qinfeng didn't dare to take it head-on. Using the essence of Transfiguration Phantom, he made 3 consecutive strange dodges in an instant, dodging the Lunar Shadow Slash. 8 Desolation Palm. The moment Yi Qinfeng dodged, the heavily injured Xiong He ignored his injuries and quickly climbed up from the ground. The phantom of his spirit beast flickered in his body as he launched a fatal attack at Yi Qinfeng. The 8 Desolation Palm was the same as the Blood Serpent Seal. Its power was comparable to a high-grade spirit rank soul skill, but it was extremely difficult to cultivate. With Xiong He's comprehension, he hadn't cultivated the 8 Desolation Palm to the large success stage, causing the 8 Desolation Palm's power to be greatly reduced. Blood Serpent Seal. Yi Qinfeng quickly took a step forward. His entire body's strength intertwined with his soul power, and the condensed blood serpent instantly transformed into a large blood-red palm that met Xiong He's attack head-on. The instant the 2 great soul skills collided, the power contained within the blood serpent seal directly shattered the 8 Desolation Palm. A terrifying power drilled into Xiong He's arms, causing the flesh and blood on his arms to explode. His entire body was like a kite with a broken string as he slid down from the sky. He directly fell out of the stage and lost the match. Xiong He lost. Kong Song knew Xiong He's strength. Even if he wanted to defeat Xiong He, it wouldn't be easy. However, Yi Qinfeng used the most direct and most brutal method to send him flying. This caused Kong Song's heart to fall to the bottom. He knew he had kicked an iron plate, and this match was probably going to be lost. Just as he was in a daze, a light flashed beneath Yi Qinfeng's feet as he continued to attack him. With the help of a low-grade spiritual long saber, Kong Song's attack power was above Xiong He's. However, against the Transfiguration Phantom Quintessence footwork, Kong Song's attacks were unable to hit Yi Qinfeng's body. Gradually, Kong Song's soul power was severely depleted, and his strength fell short of his desire. The speed and power of his attacks were greatly reduced. On the other hand, Yi Qinfeng relied on his over 10,000 kilograms of physical strength to fight more and more bravely. His attacks gradually suppressed Kong Song. When Kong Song's saber slashed through the air, Yi Qinfeng took the opportunity to unleash 3 soul-shattering finger lights: Starlight, Starlight, and Soulbreaker. They broke through Kong Song's defense and injured his body. A large amount of blood flowed out and dyed his clothes red. Do you admit defeat? Yi Qinfeng looked at Kong Song, who was heavily injured. He released a powerful physical strength to suppress Kong's song as he coldly asked. I admit defeat. Chapter 63. Loss. Xiong He and Kong Song have indeed lost. Although he had expected this, the black-clothed man was still shocked when he saw the two of them lose. It looks like it won't be long before the top 10 of the Sky Fire martial roll changes. What's your name? Elder Jin's turbid eyes shone. He never expected that Yi Chunfeng would be so outstanding. Not only did he defeat opponents 2 ranks above him, he even won 1 versus 2. Yi Chunfeng. Yi Chunfeng said lightly. You are the new king that just entered the Sky Fire martial house yesterday. Elder Jin had heard of Yi Chunfeng's results yesterday, but he did not take it to heart. However, after seeing him today, he realized that Yi Chunfeng was even more outstanding and monstrous than what he had heard. Yes, I just entered the Sky Fire martial house yesterday. Yi Chunfeng nodded. Hua, just as Yi Chunfeng finished speaking, there was an uproar around the arena. The Sky Fire martial house seniors who had witnessed the battle could not believe it. Yi Chunfeng had just entered the Sky Fire martial house, and he had defeated 2 seniors so easily. Very good. Yi Chunfeng, these are your winnings. Cultivate well and strive to enter the Sky Fire martial roll as soon as possible. After seeing Yi Chunfeng's talent, Elder Jin's love for talent was aroused and he handed all the winnings to him. Thank you, Elder Jin. Yi Chunfeng kept the 1200 low-grade soul crystals into his universe bag. He did not stay in the arena for long. Under the awe-inspiring gazes of the crowd, he turned around and left, returning to his small yard by the cliff. It looks like I need to increase my strength as soon as possible. If not, there will be more and more troubles. Yi Chunfeng never expected trouble to come knocking on his door on the first day. Although he had resolved the trouble in a tyrannical manner, he felt that the Shen Tu family clan and the Shangguan family clan would definitely not let this matter rest. After taking a bath and changing his clothes, Yi Chunfeng rested for a while and adjusted his body to its peak state. He took out the white jade crimson sun pellet that he won from the Qiankuan pouch and swallowed it. The white jade crimson sun pill melted as soon as it entered his mouth. Before Yi Chunfeng could react, the boiling hot energy was like a surging river, flowing down his throat and into his body, pouring into his meridians. The strength of this energy was beyond his imagination. In an instant it opened up all the meridians in his body, causing him great pain. As expected of an 8th-grade medicinal pill, the medicinal power it contains is even stronger than the 1000-year-old blood ginseng king. Yi Chunfeng gritted his teeth as he endured the excruciating pain. He circulated the soul-devouring incantation over and over again to refine the energy released by the white jade crimson sun pill. He increased the power of his blood and qi and tempered his body. As the white jade crimson sun pill released more and more scorching energy, Yi Chunfeng felt as if he had fallen into a furnace and was being set on fire. The blood that seeped out of his pores had long since dyed him red. At the same time, his handsome face began to distort as clear cracks began to appear on the surface of his skin. At this time, Yi Chunfeng displayed an unprecedented level of endurance. He was like an old monk in meditation. He sat cross-legged on the blood bed without moving, enduring the torment of pain. Under the impact of the white jade crimson sun pill's scorching energy, the meridians in his body rapidly expanded. Small cracks appeared on the surface of his meridians. However, as soon as the cracks appeared, they were immediately repaired by the soul-devouring incantation. While the cracks were being repaired, Yi Chunfeng's meridians slowly expanded. As his meridians continued to expand, his body's absorption rate also slowly increased. Gradually, Yi Chunfeng felt the burning sensation in his body become lighter and lighter. The blood and qi in his body became thicker and thicker. He let out a long breath. Just as Yi Chunfeng was hiding in his room, fully refining the white jade crimson sun pill to increase his strength, in the eastern part of the Sky Fire martial house, in a beautiful courtyard, Xiong He and Kong Song, who had been injured by Yi Chunfeng and had lost all face, bowed slightly and stood respectfully in the courtyard. In front of them stood a young man in a white robe. He had a stalwart figure and distinct facial features. He gave off a wild and unruly feeling. This man's name was Shintu Heng. He was the top genius of the Shintu family clan. At the age of 21, he had broken through to a first-grade Earth Beast General. He was also an expert ranked 10th on the Sky Fire Marshal roll. I understand. Both of you can go and recuperate. After hearing the two's narration, Shintu Heng's expression did not change. He waved his hand lightly and said impatiently, "Yes, young Master Heng." Seeing that Shintu Heng was not angry, Kong Song secretly heaved a sigh of relief and quickly left. Really two useless trash. Seeing the two's departing figures, Shintu Shui walked out from the inner room and said angrily, "It's not that they are useless, but that Yi Chunfeng is not simple at all." Shintu Heng's voice was calm as he said, "I remember you telling me that he wasn't your match a day ago. However, in just a day's time, he managed to defeat Xiong He and Kong Song. This isn't something an ordinary person can do. He must have refined those few elixirs and forcefully increased his strength. If not, he would not be so powerful," Shintu Shui said in an unconvinced manner. "Regardless, this person is not to be underestimated. If we cannot mend our relationship with him, then we must not let him grow. If not, he will become a great threat to our Shintu family clan." Shintu Heng's eyes flashed with a sinister gaze as he said, "Third brother, why don't you deal with him, or get second brother to deal with him? Let that kid know the power of our Shintu family clan." Shintu Shui encouraged, "If he is not stupid, he will not accept my challenge. Hence, we need to wait for an opportunity that will make him unable to make a comeback. But before that, I will give him a chance." Shintu Heng's eyes revealed a sinister look as he said in a deep voice. At the same time, the Shangguan family disciples were shocked when they learned that Yi Chunfeng had defeated Xiong He and Kong Song. They began to plan how to deal with Yi Chunfeng. Just as Yi Chunfeng became a thorn in the side of the two ancient martial arts family clans, he had finally absorbed the medicinal essence of the white jade scarlet yang pill. A surge of blood qi burst out from his body like smoke, surging up to the roof. If not for the entire yard being covered by runes, the blood and qi that surged out from Yi Chunfeng's body would have been enough to pierce through the roof. Blood and qi like smoke was a characteristic of the large success stage of the second stage of the 6 Meridian Divine Shield realm. After replenishing 100% of his blood and qi, Yi Chunfeng's physical strength increased exponentially. Just his physical strength alone had reached 15,000 pounds of strength. His personal strength had also increased by a large margin. If not for Yi Chunfeng being afraid that his foundation would be unstable and trying his best to suppress his realm, he would have already broken through to the second stage of the Beast Illusionist realm by absorbing the blood coral and the white jade scarlet yang pill's energy. Chapter 64. What a terrifying aura of killing! Yi Chunfeng walked into the Divine Weapon Pavilion, which was made of special metal. He saw all kinds of spirit weapons hanging on the huge walls of the Divine Weapon Pavilion. A sharp aura of killing was released from these spirit weapons, causing all the hairs on his body to stand on end. Due to the exorbitant prices of the spirit weapons in the Divine Weapon Pavilion, the disciples of the Sky Fire Martial House preferred to use low-grade spirit crystals for cultivation. Therefore, there was only a white-haired old man lying in a rocking chair, seemingly asleep. What weapon is more suitable for me? Looking at the huge wall of weapons, Yi Chunfeng, who had been relying on his strength and empty-handed fighting, fell into deep thought. The sword was the king of all weapons. It had exquisite sword moves and fierce attacks. Most people liked it, but it was not easy to cultivate it to an extremely high level. The saber was large, and when it attacked, it carried a domineering aura. However, it lacked the indomitable spirit and sharpness. The staff could both attack and defend, but it lacked destructive power. Its killing power was far inferior to the spear, the king of all weapons. In addition, Yi Chunfeng cultivated the 6 Meridians divine shield. His powerful physical strength was more suitable for heavy weapons. Therefore, Yi Chunfeng felt that the spear was more suitable for his future weapon. Just as Yi Chunfeng's eyes were constantly scanning the huge wall of weapons, looking for a suitable heavy spear, a broken sword with half of its body, which was placed in the corner of his eyes, attracted his attention. The surface of the sword was dull, and half of the blade was broken. The reason Yi Chunfeng was attracted by this broken sword was because when Yi Chunfeng looked at it, the god-devouring brain in his mind had an inexplicable reaction. Could it be that this broken sword is extraordinary? Yi Chunfeng raised his eyebrows and went to the white-haired old man guarding the divine weapon pavilion. He asked, "How much is this broken sword? Was it refined by the Sky Fire Martial House?" "This broken sword is worth 1,000 low-grade spirit crystals. As for its origin and grade, I am not sure." The white-haired old man lying in the rocking chair slowly opened his eyes and said indifferently, 1,000 low-grade spirit crystals? So expensive. Knowing the price of the broken sword, Yi Chunfeng could not help but take a deep breath. He was somewhat hesitant to buy it. After all, 1,000 low-grade soul crystals were enough to purchase a mid-grade spirit weapon or a high-grade spirit soul skill. However, this broken sword was so badly damaged that he couldn't see any value in it. This broken sword has a long history, and the material is extraordinary, so the price is rather expensive. The white-haired old man said, "May I take a look at that broken sword first?" Yi Chunfeng pondered for a moment before asking, "No, you can't touch it if you don't buy it." The white-haired old man shook his head and refused. "All right, I'll buy this broken sword." After hesitating for a long time, Yi Chunfeng finally decided to spend 1,000 low-grade soul crystals to buy the broken sword that had triggered the God-Eater brain's reaction. "Have you really decided? I heard that this broken sword is a little strange." The white-haired old man looked at Yi Chunfeng meaningfully and reminded him, "I've decided." After saying that, Yi Chunfeng took out 1,000 low-grade soul crystals from his Qiankuan bag and handed them to the white-haired old man. Thus, he obtained this seemingly ordinary broken sword of mysterious origin. After buying the broken sword, Yi Chunfeng did not stay any longer. He turned around and left the divine weapon pavilion. He could not wait to return to his small courtyard to study this broken sword. The reason why Yi Chunfeng was so anxious was because when his finger touched the broken sword, the God-Eater brain immediately reacted. It was enough to show that this broken sword was indeed extraordinary. However, when Yi Chunfeng calmed down and studied the broken sword, he found that it did not absorb his blood, and the God-Eater brain did not react either. Could it be that the God-Eater brain's reaction was wrong? Is this broken sword a worthless broken weapon? Yi Chunfeng used the God-Eater brain to sense for more than half an hour, but did not find anything special about this broken sword. He revealed a disappointed expression. Could it be that I'm using the wrong method? After thinking for a while, Yi Chunfeng changed his method. He circulated the soul-devouring art at high speed and controlled the God-Eater brain to release a powerful devouring power into the broken sword. After about an incense stick's worth of time, there was finally a trace of abnormality in the broken sword. Under the powerful devouring power of the God-Eater brain, a slight cracking sound could be heard from the broken sword. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng released his soul power into the broken sword and found a large number of offensive array patterns in the broken sword. However, as the broken sword broke, these array patterns also broke. 3,680 offensive runes. Who on earth created this broken sword? Yi Chunfeng could not imagine what kind of power this sword would unleash if it was in perfect condition and activated all of the attack patterns when it attacked. It would probably be able to easily kill a heavenly beast immortal expert. I wonder if the God-Eater brain can help me repair these array patterns. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself and decided to find an opportunity to borrow the power of the God-Eater brain to repair the array patterns in the broken sword. If it could be repaired, this broken sword would be his greatest trump card. This sword hilt also has a mystery. While Yi Chunfeng was silently exploring this mysterious broken sword, the God-Eater brain found a hidden array pattern restriction on the broken sword hilt. Break! With the help of the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng released his soul power and forcibly penetrated the array pattern restriction on the sword hilt. Immediately after, a disdainful voice penetrated his ears. Kill, kill, kill! The terrifying voice was like thunder from the 9 heavens, exploding in Yi Chunfeng's ears. The powerful voice caused Yi Chunfeng to bleed from his 7 orifices and his head to become dizzy. Just as Yi Chunfeng wanted to withdraw the soul power that had seeped into the broken sword, a monstrous sword aura gushed out from the array pattern restriction. It crushed the soul power and blasted into his mind, riddling his soul with holes. Seeing that Yi Chunfeng's head was about to be pierced and he would die, the God-Eater brain that had fused with his brain quickly squirmed and released a powerful devouring power to devour this monstrous sword aura. But in the next second, another monstrous sword aura gushed out from the restless sword hilt and blasted into Yi Chunfeng's mind, continuing to attack his soul. Facing this unparalleled sword aura, Yi Chunfeng was powerless to resist. He was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered and placed all his hopes on the God-Eater brain. If the God-Eater brain could not devour the monstrous sword aura gushing out from the broken sword, he would not be able to escape misfortune. The moment the second monstrous sword aura blasted into Yi Chunfeng's mind, the God-Eater brain immediately reacted and projected a devouring blood light. It was like a huge mouth that engulfed the sword aura and devoured it for the second time. After 2 monstrous sword auras, Yi Chunfeng's heart sank to the bottom. This was because he could clearly feel the 3rd monstrous sword aura brewing in the broken sword. This sword aura was so strong that he could smell the aura of death. In the blink of an eye, a dazzling white light blinded his eyes. The sword aura that was like a shooting star blasted into his mind and pierced towards the God-Eater brain that controlled his soul. Chapter 65. I'm not dead yet. After an unknown period of time, Yi Chunfeng woke up from his coma. Looking at the familiar surroundings and the mysterious broken sword lying beside him in silence, Yi Chunfeng knew that the God-Eater brain had saved him. He had not been killed by the last sword move. Although he had managed to survive, Yi Chunfeng still felt a lingering fear when he thought back to that day. This broken sword is too terrifying. I reckon that it has been passed down for at least 100 years. Yet, the power of the sword sealed within the sword hilt is still so terrifying. It is truly hard to imagine what kind of expert the owner of this broken sword was. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself as he picked up the broken sword again. This time, he was much more careful. He took a huge risk and continued to study the broken sword. He discovered another terrifying sword move in the hilt, which made him break out in a cold sweat. Forget it. I'll slowly study this broken sword when my cultivation level increases in the future. Yi Chunfeng no longer had the courage to take on the 4th sword move. He carefully sealed the broken sword and placed it in his cosmic bag. This is, just as Yi Chunfeng sat on the bed and controlled the God-Eater brain to heal his soul, he discovered to his surprise that 3 sword inscriptions had appeared in the brain. These 3 sword inscriptions were actually formed by the 3 sword moves in the broken sword. With this discovery, Yi Chunfeng was overjoyed. He had never dreamed that the God-Eater brain would be so heaven-defying. Not only had it saved him, but it had also left behind the 3 sword inscriptions. A swordsman who had comprehended sword intent could harm others invisibly and increase the lethality of the sword. It could be said that anyone who had comprehended sword inscriptions was a shocking genius swordsman. I wonder how long it will take for me to comprehend the 3 sword inscriptions in the God-Eater brain with my current level of comprehension, Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. It was also because of the sword inscriptions that he chose the sword as his weapon in the end. After being unconscious for several days, Yi Chunfeng's stomach was already rumbling with hunger. He simply healed his soul injury and left the small courtyard, once again coming to the spiritual kitchen to eat. After eating the delicacies cooked with ferocious beasts' flesh, Yi Chunfeng spent more than 130 low-grade soul crystals to buy a large amount of food that was easy to store and contained spirituality. He was preparing for his secluded cultivation to cultivate his sword force. An expert. Just as Yi Chunfeng left the spiritual kitchen and returned to his courtyard to prepare for seclusion, he found a tall young man wearing a white robe standing outside his courtyard. And where he stood, his body seemed to have merged with the surrounding air. If one didn't look with their eyes, they wouldn't be able to detect his existence at all. Yi Chunfeng, I have been waiting for you for a while. The white-clothed man calmly stared at Yi Chunfeng and slowly spoke. You are from the Shin Tu family clan. Seeing that the white-clothed man's face was similar to Shin Tu Shui's, Yi Chunfeng guessed his identity. That's right. My name is Shin Tu Heng. I am Shin Tu Shui, Shin Tu Ye's cousin. Shin Tu Heng nodded and said, Shin Tu Heng, an expert ranked 10th on the Heavenly Fire Martial Roll. Yi Chunfeng had heard of Shin Tu Heng's name before. Furthermore, he could smell a dangerous aura from him. He coldly asked, Why are you looking for me? I am here to give you a gift of fate. Shin Tu Heng said in a superior tone, What do you think of my sister, Shin Tu Bing? Don't tell me you want your sister to marry me. Yi Chunfeng said with a smile. He did not have a good impression of the unruly and willful Shin Tu Bing. It is not my sister marrying you, but you marrying into my Shin Tu family clan. Shin Tu Heng shook his head and said, Sorry, I am not interested in your sister, nor will I marry into your Shin Tu family clan. After knowing Shin Tu Heng's motive, Yi Chunfeng laughed and rejected him. Are you really not going to consider it? This is the only chance for you to mend your relationship with my Shin Tu family clan. If you miss it, you will probably regret it for the rest of your life. Shin Tu Heng said in a low voice as his eyes revealed a sinister look. Are you done? If you are, I will be returning. After saying that, Yi Chunfeng ignored Shin Tu Heng's angry eyes and walked past him. He walked into his own yard and activated the runic restrictions. Yi Chunfeng, since you do not know what's good for you, then don't blame me for being ruthless. The hidden hostility in Shin Tu Heng's eyes surged out. It was like the gaze of a wild beast, making people shudder. The top 10 on the Heavenly Fire Martial Roll is indeed not simple. Through his interaction with Shin Tu Heng, Yi Chunfeng had a general understanding of the strength of the top 10 on the Heavenly Fire Martial Roll. He felt that he was still very far from 10th place. Hence, the most important thing now was to quickly comprehend the sword stance. Only by comprehending a sword stance with astounding offensive power could he close the gap between him and Shin Tu Heng and company in a short period of time. Yi Chunfeng sat under the only ancient tree in the courtyard and regulated his breathing for a while. He got rid of all distracting thoughts and began to comprehend the 3 sword stances in the God-Eater mind. Soon, he entered a state of deep meditation. Although Yi Chunfeng's perception and talent had reached an unimaginable level after fusing with the God-Eater's brain, he was still unfamiliar with sword stances. Furthermore, sword stances were profound and difficult to understand. They were profound and obscure, and they were ever-changing and multiplying. This caused Yi Chunfeng to be unable to comprehend the true essence of sword stances. Although he was unable to grasp the essentials, Yi Chunfeng was not in a hurry. He was like an old monk in meditation. He sat under the ancient tree without moving and patiently comprehended the 3 sword stances in the God-Eater's brain. Time passed day by day. Aside from eating, Yi Chunfeng spent almost all of his time comprehending the sword force. With the passage of time, Yi Chunfeng finally comprehended a small part of the true essence of sword stances through the analysis and evolution of the God-Eater's brain. Streaks of sharp sword light slowly condensed on the surface of his body, automatically slicing the leaves that were drifting in the wind. Sword stances are formless, but the sword has a soul. Only by cultivating the sword stance into a part of one's body, allowing the sword stance to possess a soul and life, can one truly grasp sword stances. After nearly a month of comprehension, Yi Chunfeng finally comprehended the true essence of sword stances. In the courtyard, Yi Chunfeng sat cross-legged under the ancient tree without moving. Streaks of sword qi flowed on the surface of his body, as if they were about to burst out. Suddenly Yi Chunfeng, who had his eyes closed, opened his eyes. 2 sharp lights shot out from his eyes. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng gently pointed his finger. A resplendent sword light shot out from his fingertip and attacked the void. Although Yi Chunfeng used his finger as a sword, the sword light was perfect in terms of speed and power. It pierced the formation restriction above the courtyard and directly tore a hole in it. Sigh, that sword just now should only be considered half-step sword stances. Although the sword ray that Yi Chunfeng shot out earlier was extremely powerful, he knew that there was still a slight difference between him and the true sword force. To make up for these slight differences, he would need a long time to practice. Chapter 66. After comprehending half-step sword force, Yi Chunfeng knew that he could only make up for his lack of sword force through battle, and the heavenly soul array was the best place to temper his sword force. Yi Chunfeng ate some of the delicacies cooked by the spiritual kitchen and rested for a while. First, he went to the Divine Weapon Pavilion and spent 400 low-grade soul crystals to buy a fire attribute low-grade soul artifact, Scarlet Heaven Sword. I wonder how many levels of the Heavenly Soul Array I can pass with my current strength. Yi Chunfeng pondered as he walked. Following the markings on the map, he arrived outside the Heavenly Soul Array. He saw 2 huge stone doors that were 10 meters tall and had totems engraved on them. On the stone door, there was a smooth jade wall that was as smooth as a mirror. On the jade wall, there were 50 golden names. First place was Fu Yue, second place was Lin Fuxin, third place was Shen Tu Kuang, fourth place was Shangguan Yuantong, fifth place was Feng Yunshu. After glancing at the Heavenly Fire Marshal ranking, Yi Chunfeng retracted his gaze. He paid 10 low-grade soul crystals and received a life-saving stone. Remember, other than weapons, you cannot use anything else in the Heavenly Soul Array. Otherwise, you will be immediately teleported out of the Heavenly Soul Array. The registration elder warned sternly. I understand. Yi Chunfeng nodded and stepped through the huge stone door. He entered a spacious hall that was supported by hundreds of stone pillars with coiling dragons. And at the top of the hall there was also a huge ranking jade wall. Walking into the hall outside the Heavenly Soul Array, Yi Chunfeng immediately felt an oppressive feeling in the air. The huge walls were engraved with complex array patterns that gave a strong visual impact. Just as Yi Chunfeng was looking at the array patterns in front of him, a sarcastic voice entered his ears. Yi Chunfeng, why aren't you a coward? You're finally willing to come out of your little courtyard? Jiang Yijuan, who was dressed in luxurious clothes and had an extraordinary bearing, appeared in the hall. When he saw Yi Chunfeng, he was stunned for a moment. Then, a cold smile appeared on his face as he deliberately provoked him. Sigh, how disappointing. Why are there so many mad dogs in the Heavenly Fire Marshal House? Yi Chunfeng coldly glanced at Jiang Yijuan, shook his head and said, Yi Chunfeng, who are you calling a dog? The proud and arrogant Jiang Yijuan had never put Yi Chunfeng in his eyes. When he heard Yi Chunfeng insult him, his face instantly darkened. He took heavy steps towards Yi Chunfeng and questioned him angrily. What? Aren't you one? Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said, Some people are clearly dogs, but they don't want to admit it. I really feel sad for you. Yi Chunfeng's words pierced deeply into Jiang Yijuan's heart. A surge of anger erupted from his chest like a giant hand and pressed down on Yi Chunfeng. What? You want to fight here? Have you forgotten the rules of the Heavenly Fire Martial House? Yi Chunfeng stood motionless like a steel spear under the pressure of Jiang Yijuan's powerful aura as he spoke in a deep voice. Yi Chunfeng, you're only good at talking. Do you dare to accept my challenge? Jiang Yijuan took a deep breath and tried his best to suppress the anger in his heart. He looked at Yi Chunfeng with disdain and provoked him. Although he had heard that Yi Chunfeng had defeated Xiong He and Xiong He by himself, he was very confident in his own strength. He wanted to break Yi Chunfeng's heart of martial arts before he matured. I accept your challenge, but we'll talk about it after I've completed the Heavenly Soul Array. Yi Chunfeng agreed. I'm also going to attempt the Heavenly Soul Array. I'll wait for you. However, what if you go back on your word after you've completed the Heavenly Soul Array? Jiang Yijuan said deliberately. It doesn't matter. I can be your witness. At this moment, a deep voice rang out. Elder Tan, who was guarding the Heavenly Soul Array, heard the commotion and slowly walked out. Thank you, Elder Tan. Hearing that Elder Tan was willing to testify, Jiang Yijuan was overjoyed and quickly thanked him. In his opinion, with Elder Tan as a witness, it was impossible for Yi Chunfeng to go back on his word. He couldn't wait to teach Yi Chunfeng a lesson. However, Yi Chunfeng's expression didn't change much. He only thanked Elder Tan. All right, the two of you can go and attempt the Heavenly Soul Array. Elder Tan nodded and said, Yes. The two of them said in unison. With that, Yi Chunfeng and Elder Tan passed through the main hall and came to a light door formed by array runes. Elder Tan, what do you think of Yi Chunfeng? When Yi Chunfeng and Elder Tan disappeared from the main hall, Elder Lu's figure appeared in the main hall. He walked to Elder Tan's side and asked. He's not mature mentally and is a little reckless. Elder Tan commented. Reckless? Are you talking about the bet he made with Jiang Yijuan? Elder Lu revealed a faint smile and said. That's right. Jiang Yijuan has been cultivating in the Sky Fire Martial House for many years. He has 1 foot in the level 5 Beast Illusion Master and has the ability to enter the top 50 of the Sky Fire Martial ranking. Yi Chunfeng is definitely not his match. Elder Tan nodded and said. Although that's the case, I don't think highly of Jiang Yijuan. I believe that Yi Chunfeng can defeat him. Elder Lu said. Elder Lu, you think so highly of Yi Chunfeng? If he wants to defeat Jiang Yijuan, he will have to cross 3 levels. It's too difficult. Elder Tan asked in astonishment. Believe me, Yi Chunfeng will give you a surprise. Thinking of Yi Chunfeng's monstrous talent, Elder Lu was full of confidence in him. What a terrifying array rune power! As Yi Chunfeng stood outside the Heavenly Soul Formation, he looked through the many doors of light and felt the horrifying pressure of the formation, which made his heart tremble. Yi Chunfeng, I forgot to tell you that I'm going to enter the top 50 of the Sky Fire Martial ranking. Jiang Yijuan turned his head and looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was not far away. He deliberately said this in an attempt to break his confidence. I also forgot to tell you that I'm going to enter the top 40 of the Sky Fire Martial ranking. Yi Chunfeng replied with a smile. With that, Yi Chunfeng no longer paid attention to the gloomy Jiang Yijuan. He inserted his identity token into the gap in the light door, opened it, and entered the Heavenly Soul Array. After entering the Heavenly Soul Array, Yi Chunfeng discovered that he had appeared in a fiery purgatory with an extremely high temperature. A winding stone path ran through the entire fiery purgatory. The stone path was surrounded by boiling magma. Waves of hot wind spread out from the magma, blowing against one's face and causing them to feel extremely painful. Just as Yi Chunfeng stepped onto the stone path, his sharp perception suddenly sensed danger behind him. A light flashed beneath his feet as he dodged the sneak attack in an extremely small space. At the same time, he threw out a powerful punch. Bam! Yi Chunfeng's fist, which was filled with a force of 10,000 kilograms, heavily struck the 6th-level spirit beast that had ambushed him. The powerful force directly exploded his body, turning him into a cloud of light mist. 1 point. When Yi Chunfeng saw the number 1 on his identity token, he knew that every time he killed a 6th-level spirit beast, he would be able to obtain 1 point. The amount of points he accumulated would directly determine his ranking on the Sky Fire Martial ranking. Come on, let me see how difficult this heavenly soul array is. Chapter 67. Purring, purring, purring. The moment Yi Chunfeng rushed into the fiery purgatory, 3 scalding fireballs flew out from the fiery red magma. In the next moment, these 3 fireballs transformed into 3 6th-grade spirit beasts. Then, they surrounded Yi Chunfeng and attacked him. Yi Chunfeng didn't panic even though he was besieged. A terrifying physical strength burst out from his body, and the powerful energy shook the 3 Class 6 spirit beasts so hard that they couldn't get close to him. Point star. After pushing back the 3 Class 6 spirit beasts with a single kick, Yi Chunfeng pointed his finger gently. Rays of starlight shot out and penetrated the heads of the 3 Class 6 spirit beasts. After killing the 3 Class 6 spirit beasts, Yi Chunfeng continued to follow the only stone path in the fiery purgatory, rushing towards the end of the first space of the heavenly soul array. As he went deeper, more and more Class 6 spirit beasts jumped out from the scorching magma to sneak attack Yi Chunfeng. However, the enemies in the first space of the heavenly soul array were limited in strength and couldn't pose a threat to Yi Chunfeng. It was as if he had entered a no-man's land, killing enemies with irresistible force. When he killed 97 Class 6 spirit beasts, he arrived at the end of the first space of the heavenly soul array. He broke the array pattern restriction with 1 punch and entered the second space of the heavenly soul array. The second space was exactly the same as the first space. It was still the fiery purgatory. However, the enemies in the second space of the heavenly soul array were upgraded from Class 6 spirit beasts to Class 1 beast illusionists, and their points increased from 1 to 3. Strength of 10,000 pounds. Facing the attacks of enemies of the same realm, Yi Chunfeng increased his physical strength to 10,000 pounds. He killed his way into the fiery purgatory and fought fiercely with the enemies in the second space. As his physical strength continued to rise, one enemy after another was blown up by him. Under his almost crazy killing, the points he obtained increased rapidly. After about half an hour, Yi Chunfeng, who was full of fighting spirit, reached the end of the second space. He broke the array pattern restriction and entered the third space. The third space of the heavenly soul array was far more difficult than the second space. In the third space, there were not only Class 2 beast illusionists, but also Class 3 beast illusionists. Scarlet Heaven Sword. In order to conserve his energy, Yi Chunfeng took out Scarlet Heaven's Sword from his Qiankuan bag and charged into the third layer space. Elder Lu, you really have a good eye. Yi Chunfeng has already been in the heavenly soul array for more than 2 hours. Based on this speed, I'm afraid he has already reached the third space. Elder Tan calculated the time and praised. After all, with Yi Chunfeng's strength as a Grade 1 beast illusionist, and this was his first time challenging the heavenly soul array, it was truly rare for him to reach the third space. I feel that the third layer of space is not Yi Chunfeng's limit. I feel that he might be able to reach the fourth layer of space. After witnessing Yi Chunfeng's monstrous talent, Elder Lu was full of confidence in him. That's impossible. With his cultivation level, it's impossible for him to pass through the third space. Elder Tan shook his head in disbelief. I believe that Yi Chunfeng will give us a surprise, Elder Lu said faintly. Just as Elder Tan had guessed, Yi Chunfeng encountered a lot of resistance in the third layer space. In particular, the continuous appearance of Grade 3 beast illusionists posed a great threat to him. If Yi Chunfeng hadn't comprehended the essence of shape-shifting phantom steps, he would have been defeated long ago. Just as Yi Chunfeng wielded Scarlet Heaven Sword and killed a Grade 2 Beast Illusionist with one slash, a Grade 3 Beast Illusionist who had been lurking for a long time suddenly launched a sneak attack. A fist filled with scorching hot energy struck Yi Chunfeng's back. Although Yi Chunfeng used his physical strength to neutralize most of the attack, he was still injured. The blood in his body churned violently as he spat out a mouthful of blood. One! An ear-piercing sword sound suddenly rang out. A sharp sword ray was like a bolt of lightning, shattering the second attack of the Grade 3 Beast Illusionist and splitting his body in half. Instant kill. Yi Chunfeng executed half-step sword form and killed the Grade 3 Beast Illusionist in one slash. Bang bang bang. At the moment of instant kill, 3 more enemies appeared and attacked Yi Chunfeng consecutively. They didn't give him any chance to breathe and forced him to use half-step sword form to defend himself. Although half-step sword form was powerful, it also consumed a lot of energy. When Yi Chunfeng executed half-step sword form consecutively and killed 7 enemies, he was gradually losing strength. I must break through the third layer space of this heavenly soul array. Relying on his strong determination, Yi Chunfeng clenched his teeth and continued to attack. His body's potential was also stimulated bit by bit in this life and death situation. PFFF. When Yi Chunfeng executed half-step sword form and killed a Grade 3 Beast Illusionist, his body was severely injured again. 2 Grade 3 Beast Illusionists seized the opportunity and attacked him consecutively, causing him to spit out blood continuously. His movements also became slightly sluggish. Seizing the opportunity when Yi Chunfeng was injured, the 2 highly intelligent Grade 3 Beast Illusionists executed their soul skills at the same time. The 2 soul skills fused together and formed a fiery figure. It was like a meteor with a long tail, crashing towards Yi Chunfeng. Facing the fusion soul skills of the 2, Yi Chunfeng, who was standing on the narrow stone path, couldn't dodge and could only take it head-on with his strength. Half-step sword form, break for me. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and held the Scarlet Heaven Sword tightly as he went forward. Following an ear-piercing sword sound, the surface of the Scarlet Heaven Sword surged with a sharp sword aura. The terrifying sword aura was unparalleled. Chi! A sound was heard. The fusion soul skills of the 2 Grade 3 Beast Illusionists were directly split apart by the half-step sword form and dissipated in mid-air. Before the 2 of them could react, a strange sword aura flashed in mid-air and cut off their heads, ending their lives. Realm breakthrough. After using all his strength to kill the 2 of them, Yi Chunfeng was on the verge of exhaustion and couldn't hold on any longer. At this moment, he didn't suppress his realm anymore. His overflowing soul power instantly erupted and poured into all the meridians in his body, fusing with the blood egg in his soul spirit. In the next moment, a strong aura burst out from his body and pushed his strength to rise steadily. He easily broke through the bottleneck of his realm and broke through to the Grade 2 Beast Illusionist realm. After breaking through, Yi Chunfeng's almost depleted soul power recovered by more than half. His fighting strength also increased by several fold. The Grade 3 Beast Illusionists were no longer a threat to him. Kill! Seeing the enemies jumping out of the lava, Yi Chunfeng roared and used Form Displacement Phantom to kill his way into the encirclement and started a crazy massacre.